Blog Talk Radio.
He is the last of his kind. All that remains of a once powerful nation. Some think he is a myth. Some believe he is the chosen one, who will bring balance to a world at war. And some will stop at nothing to destroy him.
Welcome, everybody, to Moorish Talk Live 100. I'm your host, Tarhaka Black, and this evening we have some very, very important information to bring to you. Our special guest is the Irritated Genie of Sufi, and he's going to be with us for a little while. But tonight we're going to be trying to get down to the bottom of some things. And I certainly appreciate you all joining us tonight. And the number to dial into the broadcast is 310-982-4184. And if you got something to say, press 1 on your phone. That'll give me an indication that you got something to say, and I will open up the phone lines so that you can get in. Now, we won't have the phone lines open up right away, but later on in the broadcast, we will have them open up, okay? But in the meantime, we want you to sit still. You might want to get you a paper and pencil so that you can write down some things that we're going to be discussing, some whereabouts, or how to get a hold of this, or how to get a hold of that. You might want to write that stuff down. So it's always good to dial into my broadcast when I have a show, because my primary objective is to always close on information and to come to a conclusion about a solution. And everybody that has ever heard any of the shows that I've ever done, I want you to walk away from this show with something that you can use. To me, it doesn't make any sense for anybody to get on the radio, the TV, or Blog Talk Radio to start talking about something that's not benefiting anyone. That's just my opinion. I don't want to get loud because I'm so passionate about what I'm talking about. So before we get started, tonight's broadcast is about me and the Irritated Genie on current events in 2017. We want to satisfy the following questions. What is the solution to the problem in the NFL? What is the president of the United States Corporation? Where is he? What is that? What is the overall solution to the global threat against people of color? I think these are fair questions, in my opinion. You might not, well, man, I don't want to even hear nothing about that, but that's okay. But let an old country boy hold that for a minute. What is the problem with religion? There is absolutely nothing wrong with asking questions, and that's my opinion. That's just my opinion. Ain't nothing wrong with asking a question. What is the solution to the problem of white sacrifice? What is going on? Why white people shooting white people? What's that all about? But anyway, that's one of the questions we're going to deal with tonight. What did the Prophet Noble Drew Ali tell the Moors to do? That is a big, big, big question. And tonight we are going to deal with it. Not tomorrow, but tonight. But before we get started, I'm going to the commercials. When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, we will be going in. Okay? Hold on. What is native ion technology? How does it benefit our health? How does it take away the pain in your body? Well, the secret is out. Go to www.newdeadelimination.com. That's www.newdeadelimination.com. And right there on the home page, below the red writing, watch the video demonstration. Every lady in America needs to be there. Check it out. If you got any questions, call me, Tarhaka Bay, 904-303-9061 before 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Right below the video is all the information that you need to get a hold of this type of technology and this product. And it's always, also marketable, and you can network with it. Call me, 904-303-9061. Go to www.newdebtelimination.com. Hi, I'm Tarhaka Bay. I'm not a lawyer and don't give out legal advice. But if you are looking for an opportunity to have your very own general post, your very own professional domicile, or if you need legal advice, go to www.newdebtelimination.com and look up top to your right. Click on the new custom page button. It's all the way over to the right. And right below the video on that page, you'll see the links for the general post as well as the link for getting legal advice. If you have any further questions, call me, Tarhaka Bay, 904-303-9061 before 7 p.m. That's 904-303-9061 before 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Everything you need is right at www.newdebtelimination.com. You're non-resident? Well, if you are, you need your own general post. www.newdebtelimination.com. Okay, we're ready to go in now. Let me state my position. My position tonight involving what we are going to discuss tonight is I'm witnessing a whole lot of things being said that's been said for a long time. I do not see any results. That's my position. And I don't want you to get mad with me because there is absolutely nothing wrong with a man asking a question. If you are looking at something and you've been looking at it for 3 months and it's in the same position that it's been in for 3 months, why are you constantly investing time in it? Don't you think you need to change? That's just my position. You may disagree. I don't want you to get mad with me if I make a statement like, can you please tell me who and what is God? Who and what is Jesus? And so, don't get mad at me because there's some unwritten rule that says that is supposed to be taboo. Now, we ain't getting down in all of that, but I want you to understand the magnitude of what I'm talking about tonight and why this particular show should exist. I've read off for you what we're going to be dealing with. Okay? Now, I'm going to go over to the closest thing I think that may be my guess. Area code 202.
Yes, sir. How you doing, my brother?
Who am I speaking to? Is this the real McCoy?
This is the real McCoy, Irritated Genie, my brother.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so glad you are here. And I read off the stuff, but what I want to know from you, just straight from where you sitting on current events from the last time I talked to you up until today. In your opinion, because in my opinion, the people value your opinion. The switchboard is lit up. I don't know what you've been doing since the last time you talked to me, but over here, everything now I'm seeing spells one thing. I better not mess with you. So go ahead and let me know what you think about the current events that's been happening, man. Just whatever let us have it, man. We need your opinion about it all.
Okay. One, I think there's some good things that are happening, and I think there's some bad things that are happening. But overall, I think in terms of black people and our people, that it's some things that are happening that are beneficial to us. One, the Trump presidency represents a time period where you don't really have to argue as badly as we did before with black people about the fact that white folks do not love us.
Okay.
You know, in most times, we're in situations when we have these Democrats in office. The economy is halfway decent. Black men are getting mass incarcerated. Families are being destroyed. But because there's a smiling, grinning European in office, and our people love some smiling, grinning Europeans that can quote an African proverb or two, we have such difficult time convincing our people there's a problem until they individually face an issue with police brutality or the court system or something. Then all of a sudden they want to agree. But most of our time is spent trying to convince our people that white racism exists, is real, and we got to do something about it. We don't have to fight that fight the way we've had to fight it in the past, because Trump represents a wolf style. I don't like you. I don't care about your interests. And our people now are smart enough to at least know Trump don't like them, for the most part. So that's the good side of it. I think that's healthy, because what it's inspiring black people to want to be black again. Not because necessarily the masses want to be black, but because the threat is imminent, is overt, is obvious. White nationalists, white aggression against black people is more consistent. The hostility is in the air, and now our people don't have a choice. So people like yourself and myself, we're now starting to get people who didn't want to hear from us before, but now they're starting to want to hear something because they recognize a threat. So on that level, I think it's good. At least in the D.C., Washington metropolitan area, I'm starting to see more black people starting to manufacture their own goods. We're starting to grow gardens in this area. We're starting to do training with weapons. It's an increase in black folk doing things that you do when you want to have your own nation, because people see what's going on. Now, some of the things that I don't like are that we're falling for some of the same tricks. So I'll give a good example, the Colin Kaepernick thing. I haven't been vocal about it in the sense of telling people not to fall all into it, because even if it just gets black folk to agree on something, that's good. But in reality, This is the same old game they played with us with Obama. And we're wasting a lot of energy in places that don't have any benefit for us. So, for instance, the whole narrative of kneeling or standing for a flag is absolutely irrelevant. There's not one black man that's going to get a job. He's not going to get a job, take care of his family. There's not one sister that's going to get through school. There's not one community home loan for a home or a business that's going to be started. There's nothing of any type of benefit for us spending our energy on some mulattoes on their knees being presented as black people being revolutionary. It's the same old trick they pull with Barack Obama. They give us a mulatto who does not represent the interests of black people. We get caught up in it for 8 years and then realize we got had. We should be smarter than that now. There's no reason for us to care about it because there's no benefit on us. The only thing that we should be concentrating on now, let me just say it even this way, if people want to really get a more tangible understanding of why I say this doesn't make any sense, we got a bunch of independent African schools around this country.
Okay.
Now, if a Colin Kaepernick or any one of these so-called athletes wanted to do something revolutionary, they could say, you know what, instead of running my mouth or saying anything out loud, I'm going to donate, instead of not playing and quitting the league. One brother, Anquan Bolden, quit the league. He could say, look, I'm going to make $10 million this year. I'm going to dedicate it to 5 African-centered schools around this country. Each of them will get $2 million apiece. That's tangible. We got communities around the country that don't have black convenience stores or restaurants in them. So instead of one of them, if 10 of them wanted to do something, getting on their knee, not doing anything, they can say, okay, we're going to each give $10 million, and it's 10 of us. That's $100 million. We're going to make sure that every major city has this chain restaurant that's run by black people. We're going to work with the black farmers. We're going to do something that's tangibly is going to employ black people at these restaurants. There's so many different things that could be done with the money and the time and the energy that's spent getting on our knees. Black folk, too many of us have been on our knees for the last 400 years. The ones of us that stood up and fight are not getting any resources and not getting any support. But folks, they run around and hop on their knees with millions of dollars. All of a sudden, our people looking for heroes in the wrong places are thrown off course. It's a waste of African energy. It's a waste of black folks' time. When you're talking about what people can do to repair their credit so that they can then get resources and invest in property in their future, that's a good spending of time. Trying to get property and land, which we're not making any more on this planet as far as I know, that's a good spending of time and resource. Trying to get brothers that have been incarcerated and now they're going to get their records expunged so that they can become working members of society to take care of their families. That's a good spending of time. Trying to repair the relationship between black men and women, which is, in my estimation, in terms of I cannot talk to a brother almost that is not complaining about the overall resistance of black women to wanting to be supporters of black men, even the ones that are doing well. So there's some kind of thing going on in our relationships where the women are not satisfied with black men, are dissatisfied with our responsibility, where the men are dissatisfied with the behavior of black women and their support for us, and we need to repair this stuff. This is a good spending of our time. And right now, what's happening is we have the Gay Lives Matter movement that they call themselves Black Lives Matter, which was never anything having to do with black people. It was all about promoting homosexuality and making that the new movement for black people. It's about pulling our energy in a direction that's totally contradictory and counter-revolutionary. Now they're trying every trick they can do to try to pull the masses of our people into paying attention to getting into this war. It's really being fought between the globalist white so-called Jews and the white nationalists over resources and political control of this country. We don't stand to gain on either side. it's time for us to be dealing with our own situation, primarily the economic and the socio-economic condition of the black community. We have to repair the black families, put men back in these homes. We have to get our children out of these sick, perverted sloth troughs that we call school system in this country that can only teach them how to be transgender and gay and can't teach them how to be responsible, nor black, nor committed to their own race, nor is willing to teach black boys that they have to grow to be responsible men, take care of and protect black women and children. It's not teaching black women to grow to be a loyal mate and support system for a strong, decent black man. None of the things that we need to repair our community is being sponsored or supported by this system and environment that we're living in now. And they have us focused on things that don't really have anything to do with our development and forward progress as a race of people.
Okay. All right. Well, let me see if I can bring anything to the table that may match what you just told us, because you in my opinion, you dead on. But let's look at it from a whole different perspective and see if we have any reason to feel this way. Would you be willing to sit still for a moment and see if we can deal with something like that?
Well, I'm here, so let's shoot. Let's see what happens.
All right. Everybody, hold on a minute.
Hey, everybody, Dixon back here. Just want to talk a little bit about, white America once again, and their illustrious leader, Trump. Yes, he is their leader. He is a white nationalist, and Trump is and has established himself as a white nationalist, white supremacist leader. He's made the shy racist confident again. He's brought the closet racist out of the closet, so at least we can see people's racism like it really is. And so Trump, that's the only good thing that Trump has done, is that he's brought the shy racist out of the closet and into the forefront. And the internet has helped too. There's so much racism all over the fucking internet. White people showing their white supremacy. It's everywhere. It's rampant. It's here now, just like it was in the 40s, 50s, 60s. It's no different, really. It's just that it's adjusted for the times. But racism today is as strong, literally, as it ever was, and I believe that to be true. And Trump is the perfect example of a white nationalist, and he's in denial. He has great apathy toward people of color. And what offends Trump and what offends white America is not racial injustice. And if you look historically at our nation and our country, and if you look at white culture has never, ever been offended by racial injustice committed by their own. They never have. What actually offends white people and Trump is when people take a kneel, the national anthem, to nonviolently and politely protest for their rights. This is what America wakes up about. This is what gets their blood boiling. When Colin Kaepernick took a knee, this is what is offensive. This is why he gets called the son of a bitch, a black man who has a white mom, but he gets called a son of a bitch by our nation's racist president in Alabama, one of the states known for its heavy lynching. So funny he chose to go down to the South to make that statement, because he knew that would be welcome. He knew that Alabama was full of racism. They had a cotton industry there. They had the enslavement industry there, the slave trade and all that stuff. So he knew when he went down to Alabama, the good old racist boys would cheer him on. But anyhow, back to my point. So what is not offensive to white America and to Trump? Well, the enslavement of Africans obviously was not that offensive to white America. because it was here for so fucking long. The systematic genocide of indigenous people was not offensive to white America. They supported it, just like they supported the enslavement of Africans. They supported Jim Crow laws for so long. They supported redlining. They embraced the KKK. They still embrace the KKK. They do. It's a fact. It's the only terrorist group that has been allowed to operate in our country is the KKK. Why? Because they're a white terrorist group. Now, why would a nation allow a white terrorist group to operate? Because our nation is also a white terrorist group. So white America has never, ever, ever, ever been offended by any sort of injustice, including murder, today or yesterday. Tamir Rice, a little boy, playing with a plastic gun. The policeman rode up on him as fast as he could in the park without asking any questions, shot him dead in the park. A little boy with a little plastic gun, innocently playing in the park. The white policeman rode up, shot him dead in the fucking park. Was white America offended? No. The mass majority of white America was not offended. When Michael Brown was executed, white America was not offended. They were quiet. They were silent. All the lynchings that happened, pregnant women being lynched in the past, hung by trees, their babies coming out of them and being stomped in the fucking ground. White America wasn't offended. Emmett Till, white America wasn't offended. Sandra Bland, white America wasn't offended. Freddie Gray, Trayvon. Matter of fact, as usual, whether it's modern lynchings or historical lynchings, as usual, just like yesterday and today, white America is busy defending the perpetrators of racism, of white supremacy. So when I say we are a white supremacist nation, just look at the facts. What offends white America is when a football player kneels during the national anthem. Not when a black man is executed in the street by a racist police officer because that racist police officer only sees a stereotype of a criminal. And this is why black people have always been killed. They don't see their humanity. They see them as a racist stereotype. This is why black and brown folks have always been murdered. Reservations today, the Trail of Tears, Andrew Jackson on our currency. Why is that racist motherfucker Andrew Jackson on our currency? Because we celebrate racist. Look what Andrew Jackson did to the Cherokees and to all the Indians that walked the Trail of Tears. Women and children died. We celebrate that motherfucker. So when I say, why do we support white terrorism? Because we are white terrorists as a nation, as a country, as a government, and we always have been. These are the facts, folks. Yeah, white America, it's hard for you to look in the mirror. It always has been. The truth is truth. We don't give a fuck collectively, culturally, as a people. White America has never give a fuck. What we're good at is apathy toward people of color, toward marginalized people. We're good at denial. We're good at projecting our racism back onto people of color, back onto brown and black folks. We pretend that many white people today, even today, pretend that they live under black or brown supremacy, that there's some sort of black or brown supremacy that's oppressing them, that black people are more racist and have more power over white people than white people. The system of white supremacy operates here. They pretend that it's a black and brown system, somehow suppressing them. White people are psychotic, socially and mentally psychotic. And from a racial point of view, in the context of race, they are psychotic, literally. And Trump is their psychopathic fucking leader. You look at Obama, an eloquent, charming, gentle, beautiful human being. Not a scandal, adored his family, was all about unity, solidarity. Then you look at Trump. Look at all the shit he's done. Look at all the racist things he's said. Look at all the racist motherfucker. Put a Nazi in the White House. 2017, folks. And not a goddamn thing has changed. White America has their hypocrisy, they have their apathy, they have their white supremacy, and they have their white supremacist leader, and they're happy. The only thing good is that they're coming out of the fucking closet. Their racism is showing, and that's always better than covert racism, because now we know who the fuck you are.
Okay, we're back, and I think we need to discuss some of this. So I'm going back over here to bring my illustrious brother in at area code 202, the Irritated Genie, which is our special guest tonight, and we're going to discuss some of this. Genie, you with me, man?
Yes, sir. I'm here with you, my brother.
All right. Did you hear what this man said?
I did.
All right. What is your opinion on that?
Well, I'm half and half. On the half where he described the basic racist nature of President Trump and white America, I agree with that because it's just true.
Mm-hmm.
On the part where a few things I didn't like about it. One, I don't think that it makes any sense to try to to communicate with people with that kind of profanity when you're talking about something political like this. Because you basically sink into a kind of almost a immature hip hop state of, let me say F the police, and that somehow fights against white aggression. So that's one thing I didn't like about it. Two, I didn't like the fact that he's actually going to try to take what, from a black perspective, is one of the worst regimes to ever walk into the Oval Office, which is the Obama regime, that did nothing but invade African nations, do everything it could to promote death culture in the black community in America, pedophilia, homosexuality, destruction of the relationship between black men and women. It was the worst example of immorality in a presidency that was overt that we've ever had in this country. I mean, we've never had a president that had somebody, Larry Sinclair, doing a press conference talking about his love affair with the president, and 3 or 4 scandals of him with men that just the media chose not to put on mainstream media, but are public information for anybody with the time to research and look. I mean, it's just public information. It's not even hidden. So to try, all there was a bunch of liberal nonsense that's trying to convince black people that somehow Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama's horrible, racist, anti-black regime is going to be any worse than what Trump is doing. And to be perfectly honest, as much as, of course, I don't like Trump. I mean, he's white like all the rest of them. They're all the same. But I will say this, at least on the surface, he's taking positions against this sick transgenderism, some of this homophilia in the legislature, pushing this gayness in the military, just making the world, and particularly America, accepting of this homophile assault. At least on the surface, his regime is resisting some of it. I don't know how sincere they are in the resistance, but it's better than what Barack Obama and his horrible administration was doing. So I don't like it from that perspective. And the perspective of this Colin Kaepernick, I don't like that either. Again, at some point, we have to get the self-confidence as African people to draw the conclusion that mulattoes are not equal to us. In other words, what a black man and a black woman produce is a quality product. It's called a black person, an African. Some say more. Whatever you want to call it, the original people, however you describe it, we all recognize who we're looking at when we look at them. When you lay down with a white female or when a black woman lays down with a white male, they do not produce the same quality product, and it should not be called by the same title. What we have traditionally, the title for someone that has a white parent and a black parent is a mulatto. Black people do not have magic mulatto heroes that save us in history. Are there some mulattoes who have contributed? Absolutely. But the real leaders that come and have real committed support for our race are not generally mulattoes. And usually when we see, like Barack Obama, we see these mulattoes put out in front, it is usually a trick. So when he talks about Colin Kaepernick getting on his knees, what ticks me off about that is that if you go back with me to July of 2016, and whenever I bring it up, honest people shake their head because they remember. We were all going around in a state of terrorism because between February of 2016 and July, we had seen so many black people murdered by terrorists in police uniforms and other law enforcement uniforms that it began to be a sense of, man, am I going to get killed tonight? And there were two young men in particular who gave their lives and stopped all of that stuff dead in its tracks. One of them was a young man, 25 years old. That young man didn't have a chance to have children, get married, or anything. Ex-military, strong young brother. Parents had a very nice home. His life was wonderful. But he could not stand to continue to see his people slaughtered like this. And being in the military, understanding terrorism, knowing how to identify it, knowing how to fight it, and knowing he couldn't call the police to do it because the people that were doing it were wearing police uniforms, he took it upon himself to defend the lives of black people and give his life away in Dallas. He took out what he perceived to be 5 terrorists. He took out what he perceived to be 5 terrorists and shot some more of them and basically sent a message, you can't kill my people with impunity. 10 days later, a young man, another ex-Marine, this young brother, you look at his pictures, he went all around Africa. So he's ex-military, he's got money, he's doing well in life, 29 years old, not married, no children. He says, I can't let this continue to happen. They're killing our people. He goes down to Baton Rouge where some terrorists in police uniforms had slaughtered a brother there out in Sterling, and he commits to executing some terrorists in blue uniforms there. So after these two young men's acts, these violent episodes of taped police murders from July 2016 till probably more recently had stopped at one point, and now they're starting to come back again. But a lot of that we saw was pretty much stopped. Why? Because some real men, not no Colin Kaepernick getting on his knees, these men stood up. I don't praise dudes on their knees. I think it's kind of nasty. I like to see manhood. These are men who most of us don't even remember their names, who gave their lives in defense of our lives so that we can go around and me and you can have this conversation and drive home and be safe and feel comfortable. But none of us remember them. Instead, we're remembering some mulatto who, before any of this happened, none of us knew him. We don't know him now. He's now sitting around meeting with DeRay McKessick, the homophile, part of the Gay Lives Matter that they call Black Lives Matter movement. So this guy is not he's one of the main ones, him and the quarterback for Cam Newton. Him and Cam Newton, when they were talking about the homosexual players coming into the league, who are the two that said, hey, we don't have no problem with that? Cam Newton, who dressed like a woman every chance he gets, and it's Colin Kaepernick. So we're looking at two guys who are entirely homosexual and friendly to homosexuality, which is the major agenda that's collapsing the black family structure right now. So they don't mean any good in terms of our people. And yet one of them who ain't even got a black mother and father, we're falling behind. And now this guy's trying to make him a hero for doing what? For getting on his knees. It doesn't make any sense to me. I'd rather see people give our brother Marshawn Lynch a little bit of credit because he was the one that was talking about peace to my real Africans. He was the one that was making so much noise in the league by training young brothers to get into the NFL through his program out there on the West Coast. And he was making statements with his RB red, black, and green beads and things of that nature. He was making so much noise that when he was supposed to get the ball to run it in for 1 yard touchdown to win the Super Bowl, they chose to throw it as to not let him get play of the game because they didn't know what he might say when he got up on that stand. He actually did some things, and I'm not trying to make him a hero, but I'm saying before we had a Colin Kaepernick, we had a real black man who was at least preparing, and it looked like about to say something of some value, and was making moves in that direction, and they blocked him. I'd rather a narrative of a real black man, these real black men who did things. Young Darren Seals, King D. Seals out of Ferguson, that we call the D. Seals now in St. Louis, that was murdered, who was fighting against Black Lives Matter and fighting for Mike Brown and fighting against the terrorist executions of Mike Brown and the violence that was going on in St. Louis against black people. This young brother was murdered last year. These are the real heroes that our people should be talking about and focusing on and giving our energy and focus. And instead we give it to some people that's getting on their knees for a song. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense, and our priorities are wrong. And this guy that was talking, he just sounds to me like a liberal that just wants to drag black people into this idea that Trump is the bad guy, as opposed to realizing all of them are the bad guys. You know, like Dr. John Henry Clark said, there are some dramas in history where there are no good guys, just all bad guys. And right now, all of these folks out there, for the most part, are just a bunch of bad guys that are not talking about the tangible things that we as a community need to be focused on to better our condition.
Okay. I think that was very well put, my brother. I don't think it could have been explained to us no better, especially dealing with what we are dealing with today. I have to commend you. Well done. I got somebody else with their hand raised, and I'm going to mute your mic and bring them in and see what they have to say about this. I'm going to area code 678. You're on the air. Tell us who you are and where you're calling from, and what question or comment do you have? Area code 678. You're on the air.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Brother Bay, this is Tony Kemp.
Hey, Tony. Come on, man. I'm fantastic, man. Let us have it, man. You come on here and drop your bombs, man.
Oh God, where do we start? First of all, blessings to all on the line. The things that you have said are things that should be said, and I honor you that you have the cojones to be able to speak what is in the room, because the herd of elephants have been in the room, and we've been trying to squeeze into it to make ourselves known, and it has to be done. I also want to make sure that I give a shout out to Pastor Don, at Don Jr. CEO at the Winning Team. Mm-hmm. He is the one who has brought me into this wonderful, wonderful universe to know that we don't have to remain silent. For myself personally, first of all, I want to thank you, Brother Bay, for the gift and the weapons of knowledge that you have passed on to me.
You're welcome.
I called you yesterday and told you that if I wanted to go into a fight, I'm overmatched. I'm overloaded. I'm like one of them white supremacists with 3 million rounds of ammunition in the garage. And
I have a habit of doing that. but you know what, Tony? I haven't dropped the bomb tonight. Now the Irritated Genie has dropped the bomb tonight. What do you think about what this brother has just told us?
This brother has his finger on the pulse of what is going on in this nation. But I have to submit to you. I must submit to you, because I can only go by allegory and give you an illustration.
Mm-hmm.
An underground stream does not flow just because you know it's not there. An underground stream does not stop flowing because you don't know it's there. Mm-hmm. The underground stream of racism has been there for years, and they have screwed themselves up by the racism and allowing technology to flourish in this nation. They got to make money because money is their God, and they don't care how they serve their God. which is money. So when technology came out, let's just say the river was revealed. It's not, I do not agree that racism increases. It is racism is being discovered more easily. You cannot make a statement in this nation now without somebody having an iPhone. It never changed. Woodrow Wilson was a sheet-carrying Klansman in D.C. Woodrow Wilson. The only thing that's happening right now is that we are discovering an old river, but the technology is improving, and we are discovering it more and more and more and more. Now, on that note, I would like to say this. I am a Bible reader. I've been a Bible reader all my life. And as I reach the age of 58, 59, I've come to understand that the more I read the Bible, the more I realize that it separates me from the traditionalist views that so-called quote-unquote black Christians have. When I started reading my Bible and when I started instilling in my children from an early age, I didn't say, believe this religion, believe that religion. I said, son, here's a brand new Bible. Son, here's a brand new Bible. Read them as long as you choose. Tell me what you think. When I did that, not only did they start reading the Bible, they read every other book they could get their hands on. In that
so you
process,
you got them reading, period.
Period. But I started them with the Bible because that is a book I trust. That is my opinion. Okay? Now, as we read this book and as they grew up, things started leaving our house. Things started leaving our house. Christmas tree, Easter bunny, Valentine. You understand? Do you see my drift?
I got you. You going into the realm of the realization of what you're trying to explain to us. But hold on 1 second, Tony, because this thing here got me over here. I got to work with this. Genie, hold on to. I'm going down to area code 818. Area code 818. You're on the air. Could you tell us who you are, where you're calling from, and what is your question or comment? Area code 818. You're on the air.
Greetings in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. My name is Pastor Don Jr., CEO of the Entertainment Worldwide Network based in stunning Las Vegas. Our global listening audience is 1.5 million listeners. We have 25 AM and FM radio stations, and we have 300 members on the winning team promoting Brother Bay's show. Brother Bay, I just love the energy of what you're doing. Irritated Genie, man, what you said has so much power behind it. And how I took it, and I'm making a comment, I took it as it's a time for us to get proactive, and that's not be retractive, but let's be proactive. We have been
his line is open. His line is open. You can tell it to him right now. He can respond.
Beautiful. Well, I want to say this. For too long, we've been holding picking signs, and we don't have time to hold no picking signs. We need to walk into the bank and get a check. Now, like Brother Bay is doing, he's teaching credit, and we're doing the same thing at the winning team, but we teaching spiritual credit, and what that means is it's not the walls and the brick and the mortar of the church house, the mosque, or the pyramids, wherever you go to serve your God or whatever it may be. It's the spirits. It's the people who you live with. It's the people who you talk with. We don't touch the trees, but they give us oxygen every day. So platforms like this gives us the opportunity to interact, to exchange ideas, to gain wisdom. So, Irritated Genie, I have a question for you. In all of your different walks around this beautiful planet, what would you feel is the most common thing that you hear from brothers outside of the negative? What do you hear that's positive that's going on in the community?
That's an excellent question, brother. I really appreciate that. I appreciate both of the brothers speaking here. The thing that I see right now as I travel around the country and to some degree the world is that, in particular, black men are beginning, the ones I'm running into, are beginning to feel more responsible about acknowledging the fact that we've, to some degree, failed our people in doing what we're supposed to do in terms of protecting our women, children, and providing the same thing that other men provide for their communities to our community. And now black men are starting to say, hey, we got to be real men. Let's work together and put our differences aside and start doing the practical things, not all the debating. I mean, I'm just getting so proud that brothers, and I was one of those brothers, so I'm not knocking brothers. I was one of those brothers early in my consciousness. All I could do was debate and argue because I didn't know how to build anything. I just got this information that was overwhelming. But right now, I'm seeing men like yourself, like all the brothers here, that are not just coming with information to say, hey, I heard this and let me share it, which I think is good. And, hey, you got an issue with your credit? Hey, let's do this. You have an issue with understanding how you're going to navigate your personality in this evil world and take your spirituality and connect with doing the right thing for your family and being the kind of man that is a productive black man to be proud of. Here's some tangible ways that we can do that. I'm starting to begin to see black men want to not only do it themselves, but want to organize with other brothers and sisters and say, we can't do it by ourselves. We should do it collectively. And it's a good feeling because, of course, I've been wanting to see this for a long time, and I'm actually able to participate in the process of seeing it formulate itself. It's not internationally totally organized right now, but it's in the air.
Hey, man, I got one last question. I'll be out of your way. I know we got a lot of callers calling in. And check your Twitter, your Facebook, Instagram. We on top of it. Brother Ray, I appreciate the time. Genie, Mr. Genie, please tell me what's on your bookshelf because the words, the wisdom, your knowledge, I know you read, and I want to come pick up some of those books that help you along the way.
Oh, man, that's an excellent question. Well, two major books that I thought were, I'll always say, I think everybody should read. First, I think it's the most important book for any black person on this planet because it tells us in practical terms where we made our errors, but it also gives us our glorious past. The Destruction of Black Civilization by Dr. Chancellor Williams. Boom. I think it's a critical book. Yes. Then I'll give the second one, then I'll just list some more that I think are excellent books. The second book that was transformative for me in my life was The Irritated Genie. It's a book about the Haitian Revolution. That's where I actually got my name from. That book talked about something that both of you brothers mentioned when you talked about God. I just did a lecture called Where's Your Black God? And, we're talking about people, despite whatever religion we're part of, but what is our direct connection, knowing that we were the first people with the Creator? And one of the things that really stood out to me about that book, I didn't know that black people, before I read that book, had actually turned away from other religious concepts and looked to God and said, we're going to practice God in a good way that we believe is good, and part of that is fighting slavery and tyranny, and we're going to do it in a spiritual way where we're not just doing it for us, we're doing it because the Creator has mandated that we free ourselves. And with that religious and spiritual belief, they actually fought the French, the Spanish, the English, and all of these groups and defeated them. And the prayer, that thing always stood out to me, Bookman's prayer. It was kind of almost a non-denominational prayer, and pretty much what he said is, the God of the whites wills them to evil acts, but our God is a good God, and he commands us to good acts and to treat people well, and he also commands us to fight for what's right. And when I looked at, my little experience growing up in the church and the Bible, and I started looking back at the things, I said, the Bible talked about righteous people. There wasn't only suckers in the Bible. You had people like
Preach.
Daniel.
You're 100% correct. Preach.
Fighters, And so I was like, wow, that spirit of being righteous and standing up and resisting and being in tune with the Creator and God, no matter what you might call God, because where you're located, it's the same energy, it's the same desire to be good and do the right thing. And so we're not going to let you abuse women and children. That same spirit is in all of us when we are at our best. And it basically told me that we can win. You know, because a lot of times growing up for me, you don't have books that teach you about the victories. And that book was about some of the victories. So I give long answers. Let me just name a few more books. I think Kebuka, which is a book by Dr. Mulimu Baruti. It's Kebuka. I never read a book that was physical. It actually takes us through the slave trade to let us know, like I walked away from that book thinking we're an incredible people to have gone through that and to still be here fighting to put ourselves back together. I think every black person should read that to know what we've overcome. So there's a lot of different books. But I'll start with those three. I think those are three excellent books for people to get: Destruction of Black Civilization, The Irritated Genie, and Kebuka, Kebuka.
Okay. All right. Well, Genie, my brother caller has dropped. I'm going to make a quick announcement, and I'm going to bring the next part of what we got to the stage, because I know you told me you're going to give me 2 hours. I'm trying to get it in, and I do the most amount of distribution as we possibly can.
Yes, sir.
Tony, are you still with us?
Yes, sir.
All right, Tony, this is just for you. I'd like to commend you on selecting the secured party and creditor package. You got the files. Your first box has been put in the mail today, and look for it by Saturday and no later than Monday. You'll have to sign for it.
All right, sir. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I think my brother done pick back up the phone and bring it back in. Area code 818, you back on, man.
Thank you so much, Brother Bay. I just really appreciate you giving me the space. And to all the winning team members under my sound of my voice, it's so important that we come in on these shows. And I want to take 15 seconds out, be brief, be brilliant out the way. But it's so important for us to come and support these major motivational speakers, because you're going to be on the road. So when we go to the market, just to let you know, to bring everybody up to speed, my name is Pastor Don Jr., CEO, Entertainment Worldwide Network. We have the Winning Team Global Connections Tour. We're going to visit the top 22 markets, highest crime, highest violence, no media coverage. We're going to purchase an abandoned building. All the brothers and sisters that have felonies, if you robbed a bank, if you sold some dope, if you got 3 DUIs, if you have a felony and you didn't touch no little kid, we're going to work with you. A lot of background checks are pass or fail, and a lot of times they don't actually go and find out the details of the situation. Our whole purpose is, once we purchase this abandoned building, hire the people in the 50-mile radius. We're going to buy the land, buy the building. The people within that 50-mile radius are going to work. We're going to hire from the actual people. Then we're going to send the 300 members of the winning team, and one at a time. We're going to have people in the city, but the people that's on the winning team, if Sister Sally does hair, we're going to send her, change her zip code, to change her environment, show her how different people live. For 30 days, she's going to go on the news. She's going to feel like a superstar. And if we get 300 people to go through the process, now we have a college, and through this institution, we break the chain. So I'm all about proactivity. So it's a breath of fresh air to come and meet Brother Bay. Now, me and Brother Bay, he shared some stuff while I was watching my daughter today that I didn't know about the Mengege power and the Neo. But all these things, if we don't pass his wisdom on, it don't work. And wisdom only works when you apply it. So we sit on the seminar for 40 hours and we're talking about $1 million. If nobody ever picks up the phone call and hear the first no, you can never get to the second yes. So everything that we're doing is important. So to all my winning team members, yes, this is a 3-hour show. Yes, we could be doing other things, but if we don't hear this information, if we don't take notes, like The Destruction of the Black Man, that was the first book he said, so that's the first book I'm going to buy. If you don't take it from the people that's actually doing it, and you don't, with a GPS, it only works with a destination and a beginning point. So in order to get to where you're going, you got to know where you came from, and you got to know not to go back. Trust only goes one way, it goes down. So we got to trust the fact of that God put us here to help everybody. And I love what Brother Genie said, no matter who your God is, on spiritual wise, if you see something wrong, whether you like it or not, if somebody's getting smacked, robbed, or shot, now we videotaping it, but we're not actually doing the right thing. So as a people, black, we got to remember that we are the ringleaders. Hip-hop is the most fluent as everything, and every time somebody takes one of our hip-hop words and put it into another culture, we hate on it, but at the end of the day, we're not realizing how much trendsetters we are. If we choose to lose, we will always lose, but if we choose to win, we'll bring 100 winning team members in every day. So I'm impressed, I'm enthusiastic, I am in love with what's going on here because I see generational curses being broken, and when you look at it with a spiritual eye, you know, just because you put a seed in the ground don't mean it's going to be an ear of corn until time takes its course, till water takes its course, and then it's got to have that sun for that chemical reaction. Without all three things on moving, it will never happen. So, Brother Bay, I turn the floor back over to you. I appreciate it so much.
All right. Well, I thank you for coming on in here and dropping this information. I am certainly grateful for you and Brother Tony and the Irritated Genie. We're going to move straight on because our time is limited, and we're going to the next phase, and I'm going to definitely need you guys' opinion on because we're finna to deal with the solution to the major problem. Because in my opinion, this is my personal opinion, if you don't understand this, everything else you think you understand will only confuse you. And so we're finna go here for just a few minutes, and then I'm going to open back up the phone lines, and then we can go in, gentlemen.
Five basic words to describe what needs to be done.
Well, when you put it in the frame of reference, everyone, when they talk about racism and white supremacy, should always start by saying that the focus, the objective should be replace white supremacy with justice. Those are the 5 basic words. And you start your frame of reference from that. The words are very important because when people talk about racism, they tend to get away from the basic focus. If you keep those 5 words in mind, replace white supremacy with justice, then you can keep focus. In many of these discussions on the matter, people tend to get into everything from feminism to words that don't have precise definitions.
And everything else. They go off on a tangent.
Yes, right.
Yeah, but this kind of locks it in.
Right. Bigotry, discrimination, sexism, a multitude of isms. Biracialism, whatever that means, multiculturalism.
Whatever that means.
Yes. And so you get into a myriad of words that don't apply to the focus of what you're talking about. So therefore, that is the basic frame of reference that you should always focus on. That should be used by all people who are talking about the problem as it is.
What is the tragic arrangement, or the 3 T's, if you will, and what are some of the first 2 things that must be done to establish quality relationship between white and non-white people, if you will?
Well, the 3 T's, called the tragic arrangement, are tacky, trashy, terroristic. Now, this is the arrangement that non-white people on this planet have with white people in their everyday interactions in all areas of activity.
Tacky,
trashy, and terroristic. One of the 3. It doesn't get any better than tacky. If you will observe black people, for instance, in the presence of white people, on account of the way that both of them are raised within the system of white supremacy, there's a strain there. There's not a even flow. So what you have is a tackiness. It doesn't get any better than tacky. It can't get any better than tacky within the system of white supremacy.
Why?
So this is all very tragic. Well, because the system of white supremacy demands that white people interact with non-white people in a certain way that is harmful and harsh and overall destructive. And that the non-white people interact with the white people in the same manner. And they are taught this. Both people
are taught
this at a very early age, and then the teaching goes on every day in all 9 areas of activity: economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war.
All areas of people activity.
All of the areas of people activity everywhere in the known universe.
I noticed something. I used to work with a gentleman, elderly gentleman, and whenever he would come in contact with white people, he always had a tendency to have to be the entertainment committee, to make everybody laugh. If we were on the elevator or doing something in the building, he was always the person to make white people laugh. He was always the clown.
Yeah.
I always kept a straight face, so he thought something was wrong with me.
Yes, well, you can tell that there's a strain even on college campuses and whatnot, and in schools. The people will go to the classes together because that's where the classes are. That's where the teaching is. And then the students will separate themselves in the lunchroom. Now, there's a reason for that, and the reason is not healthy. It shows it's something that is completely out of order. Because if the people are sharing the same classroom and learning the same things and having the same values that are taught in that classroom, then why do not the people interact with each other in all of the areas of activity without exception in harmony?
Well, maybe they're not learning the same thing.
That is it.
Maybe they taught the same thing, but
yes,
not necessarily
that is it. Under the system of white supremacy, a black student sitting next to a white student is being taught how to be a victim of white supremacy. The white person, the white student, is being taught how to be a white supremacist.
And it's all in the language.
This is done in the language, in the use of the words, in the subject matter of the materials, if the material in any way relates to interactions between people. Now, the other two T's, trashy, if you try to improve on the tackiness, then it gets trashy, the interactions between. For instance, you can say that in the area of religion, Sunday morning, black people and white people do not attend the same churches.
Dr. King said the most segregated hour in America.
Right. Now, that is tacky, particularly in the area of religion. It should not be. The two people should come together in religion, if in nothing else. It would seem logically speaking. But under the system of racism, since the basic teaching of the white supremacy system is that white supremacy is a religion, so you have a built-in barrier
already
against black people and white people sharing the same premises and preaching the same gospel and talking about loving each other and treating each other with justice. So therefore, you can't have what you call black people and white people in the same religious setting, which is why you don't have it. So what you do have, and I'd like to add this, is the trashiness that goes on the same Sunday morning, and that is maybe in the houses of prostitution, in the houses of dope dealing. Then you will have black and white together.
That's the only
same day,
place
on Sunday.
Wow, that's interesting that you would say that, because you have these two groups, and we both say we're Christian. We have white Baptists, then we have black Baptists, and we're supposed to be worshiping the same God, if you will.
One in Christ, they often say. And that is something that not even many black people care to explain. That they say we are, in Christ there is no east, no west, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yet, the black people and the white people cannot sit down in the same bench in a church.
I find it interesting, speaking of religion, that you could have Billy Graham come to town and all the black ministers start bowing down. Minister Louis Farrakhan comes and there's controversy.
Well, that is because of the race issue.
As well.
It's always because of the race issue. You can't do anything. You can't straighten out anything in religion or any of the 9 areas of activity without first eliminating racism. And here again, there's only one functional form, and that is white supremacy.
What should be used as a role model for replacing white supremacy?
The role model for replacing white supremacy should be a code. of thought, speech, and action, not a person, never a person. And that also applies to producing justice throughout the world, which justice has never been produced. As far as anyone who is existing now knows anything about. We don't know what justice would be like. We don't know what peace would be like. You never had it. So in the process of producing justice, you need a role model, and that role model has to be a prescription. Some ministers have said in the beginning there was the Word. Now that certainly applies also to straightening out race problems. You have to have the words. The words are not correct. Hardly any of the words are correct. The words are designed to support racism. And this is why you have the confusion you have in the schools.
Deceit.
Yes, the deceit. See, the words are designed to support deceit, which is the basic tool of the white supremacists.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back. I'm going to open up the phone line to my distinguished panel, starting with the Irritated Genie. He's my special guest tonight, and we are dealing with current events. Area code 202. Irritated Genie, are you with me?
Yes, sir.
All right. What's your take on where we are so far?
Well, you know, I love Neely Fuller, so I actually was a student of his for many, many years. I'm in Washington, D.C., and he taught here, and I've been to, when he was lecturing, I was at every single one of them I could make it, so he's part of my foundational studying and teaching, so I always like hearing what he has to say.
Okay. Well, we got 9 points, economics, education, entertainment, labor law, politics, and point number 7 is religion, and then 8 is sex, and then 9 is war. I wrote an article. Well, first of all, I deal with psychology. The first thing I did was I deal with the people who are on a knee. The title of the article was, instead of taking a knee, why don't you take a walk? If we got athletes that are millionaires, why don't we get the one that's just recently retired and the ones that's been promised a couple of $1 million and the rest on contract? Why don't you all collectively say, well, look, don't worry about it. You know, my knee bad anyway. I'm just gonna go ahead and we're gonna build our own stadium and have your own franchise. Because this ain't brand new. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad already did it. Jackie Robinson say he didn't salute to no flag and he didn't do no pledge of allegiance. So we're going to go ahead and do this right here, and we're going to put this in our community, and we'll set up substations with policemen that look like us to protect the interest, the stadium, the community, and the game. But then psychologically, I came back a day later because everybody hit this article. I mean, you should have seen it. You would think that I'm about to go to the moon when I wrote that, because everybody on the planet was hailing and praising me until I wrote the second article. So we're going to deal with psychology now. Here comes the second article. The title of the article is, "There is nothing wrong with asking a question." Question number 1. Where in the New Testament did Jesus say, "Thou shalt not shoot the police when he gunned down our children when they are unarmed in the street?" Question number 2. How can I, after 400 years of slavery, continue to believe in God and Jesus, and I ain't never seen it? And if the question is I have, could you please tell me what side of town did you see him on? There's nothing wrong with asking a question. And the list went on. I put down 20 questions, and after it was all over with, the article, we had about 15 people that praised me about the article, but the masses, I did not have the same masses, so I come to a conclusion that there is something going on inside the brain of people. I'm gonna open up the other lines so my brothers can weigh in on this. Tony, what you think, man? We ain't trying to get with.
I'm sorry. Let me get down to. I don't know where to begin. Please understand that I have to defend myself when I said that I am a Bible reader, and I am.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
It is not easy, but the thing that I say is this: if you are in touch with the source, you fear nothing.
Okay.
Neither life, nor death, nor height, nor depth, nor enemy, nor nothing. Because you are in touch with the source. This life is not an easy one, to say the least. But I'm not going to preach. I just say I put my trust in what I've read and what I've learned.
Okay.
I believe in my brain, but I've never seen it. I believe in my next breath, and I've never seen that either. I believe in the faith, trust of my wife, and I've never seen that either. The only thing that I can believe in is the action that she takes. Faith is something that you do not see, but it is a tangible thing. It is a tangible thing because I believe in the design that my Creator put in me to be able to be the strongest person that I can be when the time is required. But I cannot do it on my own. Even a man who has a fraternity and is in trouble has to believe in the strength of the people around him. And then again, if I can believe that there is a technician with such design and craftsmanship to make a humble thing as me, if a tree can push itself through asphalt, if a tree can push itself through rock, and that book says that the heavens declare the glory of God and the workings of his hands, the expanse is telling. The expanse includes whatever was created and whatever it does. It does not break the design. Plants do not break the design. Trees grow, and they've been growing for thousands and hundreds of thousands or even millions of years, and they all do the same way because they are designed. We are dealing with a situation. Hello? Oh, we are dealing with a situation in which there are two trains of thought that are being put out there. You have to choose which one works and which one does not. The one that I choose, I believe, it works. I mean, I put two children into a book and said, read it. The result is I have two children that have never broken a law. I have two children that don't have no baby mamas. I have no children that have a police record. I have two respectable, wonderful children that I put in a book that I believe works. If it didn't work, I'd be up all night wondering where they are. I don't worry about them because of the fact of the rules.
Well, let me ask you this, Tony. Let me ask you this, and I'm so thankful for you laying this out for us. My next question to you, just you, nobody else but you, how, in your opinion, how well do you fire a high-powered rifle at 50 yards?
How do you fire a high-powered rifle at 50 yards?
How well do you fire one at 50 yards?
My aim sucks.
All right, well, hold it right there. Hold it right there. Pastor, come on in.
Hey, man, you know the Holy Spirit was dealing with me and tugging me, man. I was taking notes, and Brother Bay, I gotta say this, man. I love the way you run your platform. You keep it real. When I say real, it's real, but it's silky. You respect everybody, but everybody has an opinion.
Look, we got
Well,
French
I ain't
fries
got
on
nothing to
TV.
hide.
Okay, let me have it.
Come on, I ain't got nothing to hide. Okay, let's get real about God. Let's get real about God. This is a real show.
Right.
Hopefully, Irritated Genie, he's still in the building. That's my godfather, Tony. I had to adopt him as my godfather because at the
he ain't going nowhere.
At the end of the
Come
day,
on, man.
Man. Okay, here we go. Now I have a 100%. I got a couple points to make. Okay, when it comes to any kind of religion, you have to eat the meat and throw away the bone. The age-old thing is it's a grapevine. By the time you get the information, people to add a little salt, a little seasoning, it's not the same thing as it coming from the source. That's number one. Number two, because of your environment, what you went through, what you learned as a kid through your first 5 years of your life, kind of determines what kind of later on religion you're going to have. Your mind and your spirit will never leave this earth, no matter what goes on. When we take a dump, we flush it down the toilet. Just because it's out of our house and we don't smell it don't mean that it's gone. So at the end of everything, all the stuff we're doing now, we're leaving and building a legacy. Now, for me, I serve Jesus and I serve the Holy Trinity. And one thing about the Bible that I really believe, it's a living book. Your husband, your spouse, your wife, whatever you want to call it, they can love you on Monday and hate you on Tuesday. They can love you 100 times a day, and you walk in front of the TV in front of their favorite program and fart in the room or something, and they hate you and they calling you everything other than child of God. And this is all real stuff that goes on. Now, and this is the real. Right. Everybody is different. Now, I'm going to be keeping 100. You tell me why a chick that looks like Beyonce, Madonna, whoever your idol or the hottest woman to you, she look at Biggie Smalls, a big, crazy, overweight, unattractive dude and say, I'm going to make this my man. And she'll walk past 3 dudes that will never do anything right for her. She'll get with this ugly dude. She'll stay with him come hell or high water. He's cheating on her left and right. Now, the dudes that will do something right for her meet her after she got rid of the dude that didn't do nothing right. It's 10 years later, and no matter how hard he works, he can't be right because that's just the way the life is. So when life happens, you got to remember, and this is where the spiritual side comes into it. No matter how much faith you have in yourself, you know when you go out to your house every day, that car going to start, whether you put gas in it, whether you put the right proper maintenance in it, whether even if you got an oil change when you were supposed to, in your mind, you have the faith that when I turn this key in this ignition, no matter what I did, what I say, it's going to start. And we move with God like that. And what I mean by that is, okay, pray on my knees on my way to court before I hit the death row and still know I'm going to go to heaven because that's the way that's the way we taught and that's the way it's made up. So I say all this to say some people are made to live, some people are made to die, some people are made to be lost, and it's only a select few that's going to get what I'm saying. But, Brother Bay, what you're doing right now, you're opening up the door to the brothers that want to get it, that want to at least attempt to try. And when you see God, ignorance is not a bliss. Everybody's going to be responsible for what they did. So with me having 300 souls assigned to me, no matter what I like to do, good, bad, or indifferent, whether I hate them, they owe me $20,000, I got to pray for their kids when they say my son got shot in the face. If somebody say, my homeboy got shot, murdered, and I was on my way to give you your $3,000 so you won't be evicted, and he called me 2 months later, I still got to pray for him. And most pastors don't move like that. But I'm saved. I'm not soft. If you smack me, I'm going to smack the fire out of you because I don't preach in roles because at the end of everything, everybody has a different assignment, and there's certain people that's assigned to them. And if we realize we all have an assignment and stop trying to be in the front office and just be on the field and play our game, we'll get a lot more done. And that's my take on religion.
Okay, you know what? You every time I ask you a question, you always straightening stuff out. I'm in Brother Genie. Do you have any comments?
Let me jump in here. Yeah,
come on, man.
Because I'm like, man, we talking religion, and I didn't get a chance to speak, but I'm glad you put me back on. I want to ask the brothers something because, and I'm hoping, I feel a good vibe here, so I think we'll probably be somewhere similar where we are. For me,
which one? Which one you want to talk? You want to talk to the pastor, or you want to talk to Tony? Which one?
Well, both of the brothers because I like the vibe. All right. I like the energy that's coming on both of the brothers.
All right, we got all 3 lines are now officially open. You all can talk to one another. Let it rip, man.
All right. Okay. for me, and like I said, we just did the lecture, Where's Your Black God? And one of the things, it took me years I'm going to use the word mature. Some people might not think it's mature, but to the point where I realized that, particularly for black people, when we're talking about God, no matter what name we use, which is usually, quite frankly, the name that we receive from an enslaver or an enemy of our race through a religious system they forced on us. But when we're talking about God and spirituality, we're talking about something different because we're trying to live it. If you want to see the most devout Muslims, you're going to see black people. If you want to see the most devout Christians who are trying to live what they say they believe, you're going to find black people. The most devout Jews are the black Hebrews. Like they really want to live what they say that they're doing. At least we try. Well, I don't see other races doing it. My point being the blackness of God. And when I say that, I mean not only from the perspective of us being the first people, and of course people see the Creator in the context and in the worldview of their own people, but even when we go to the Bible, and I know both of the brothers say they're Christian, we look at Hosea 13:4. It said, "Yet I am thy Lord thy God from the land of Egypt, and thou shalt know no God but me, for there is no Savior beside me." So we see where in black and white in the Bible, God says, I'm directly from Africa. Egypt is in Africa. And what I find to be missing from all of the religious systems, you go to Jude 125, it says, "To the only wise God, our Savior, be glory and majesty, dominion and power, both now and ever. Amen." Where it's definitively describing God's name as Amen, the God that we should be worshiping as according to the Bible. And you can go and put Amen into your Bible 100 times, and every time it's saying this is the one glorious God of the Bible, Amen. But yet, somehow as black people, we don't find these verses that speak to our responsibility as a race to see God in the perspective of our blackness, but whites are able to see their Christianity as white. Muslims are able to see their Islam as Arab. But we're the only ones that don't see the blackness of God, even though the Bible or the Quran or any of these things definitively speak to the blackness of the Creator in many of the places, but we don't talk about that. Could y'all help me with what you think of why that happens?
Can I speak on that? Come on, man.
Go ahead, brother.
Come on.
Come on, Don. Brother, go ahead.
Everything you said right now, you're 100% accurate. Now, and I got to say this, there was no H in the Bible when it's written, so when everybody say Jesus, that's incorrect. The reason why I use the word Jesus is because it's like growing up with your father and you call him dad. You call him dad all your life, and you finally grow up and find out this is not your father, but every time you was in a situation, you called his name, he came through. So no matter what goes on in my heart, my spirit has been imparted in me. But as I did the theological situation, went to ministry school, and did my own studying, the one thing that's true about the Bible, the Quran, and the Torah, any prophet has always been persecuted by law enforcement. Anybody that's telling somebody to wake up and you're being done wrong will be shunned. So at the end of the day, I know 100%, without a doubt, God is black. But at the end of the day, he is omnipresent. So at the end of the day, some days he's a white man. He's the white man that I need to speak to get my check. And he's on the other side of that bank and behind that bulletproof glass, and they slide me back to the Federal Reserve notes that say, Don Green, go pay your people. So at the end of the day, some days he's white, some days he's black. But every day he's God. So, Godfather, you got it from here.
Okay.
Come on, Tony.
The fact of the matter is that I'm freaking. I'm sorry. The blackness of God, the blackness of its people. We look at through history that black people, through their faith, have always had that faith. I just want to say two quick things, and I got to make my point real quick. I believe that what Jesus did, Jesus spoke the truth. Religion nailed him to the cross. Okay? Religion nailed him to the cross. They knew who he was. They knew what he had. They knew that when he came, they were going to lose their power. That's why they had to kill him. I'm going to stop right there. Psalms.
All right. Okay, well, now hold it. Now, Genie, before we go any further, because I think we have really driven our points to the wood. So I'm going to go to the next thing because the brother, he only has a couple of hours with us. And I'm getting on to the next thing. And after this right here, I need you all to give me your opinion, because this is very important for you to give me your opinion on this next segment I'm going to play. Just hold on a minute. Go get you some water. If you got to go to the bathroom, if you're going to go get you a piece of toast and put some jelly on it, go ahead and get it, and y'all come on back. Hold on.
I want to say a couple of things, and I really don't want you all to miss me before we get ready to go. My wife was here, and she was the president of the Association of Black Psychologists a couple of years ago, and she was responsible for taking about 500 people, including about 300 black psychologists, to Ghana, West Africa, for their national conference. The reason I point that out is because I want to say a couple of things, and I'm going to go out of bounds with what I have to say relative to what we've been talking about. First of all, I grew up in Brooklyn, and I saw, looking back on my life, I saw about 30 of my friends die, getting shot, overdosing on drugs, any number of things that took them off the planet, beautiful brothers. So as I started to become more conscious, I looked around, I started asking this very important question. I think the most important question that I ask myself and that you can ask yourself is why? And I wanted to find out what was going on. So I began to change. I began to examine everything. I don't like to use the word critically, but I started to really check things out. So I went through a very, very serious change. Serious change. And what my wife and I did, we decided that we were going to drop out from this system. We delivered two of our 3 children at home using midwives. She didn't take any medication. We didn't go to a doctor. She talked me into doing that, but it was a beautiful experience for me to be there to help deliver our children. They were born, by the way, 2 years apart on the same day, and our oldest daughter helped us deliver our children. We also changed our diets. We saw the hospital system was killing our people, so we changed our diets. We have been vegan for about 30 years. That means no meat at all in any form, no dairy products, no sugar, no white flour, the same thing that Dr. Whitaker talked about. Because we understood that we were in a war, and I want to emphasize that to you. We are in a war. We left New York and went to North Carolina, and really it's on her again, we decided that we were not going to go in debt because the new form of slavery was economic slavery. We got some land, we're very fortunate, and we built our own house. We built a log house. It took us 16 months. We worked night and day every day for the 16 months. And she was out there with a chainsaw in the cold and the rain, and we worked and we built the house so we would not have to give white people any money. I taught on the college level for a number of years at a so-called black college, and I'm down against black colleges. I'm going to tell you straight up, because some of the madness that's going on in these schools. But what I want to say is that there are 2 things going on the planet now. One is that when white people came to us and said, we're going to free you, we're going to emancipate you from the plantation, what they did was extended the boundaries of the plantation and made it an international plantation, made us think that we were free. In addition to that, they made every white person on earth a plantation master or owner. So there are 2 things in operation. We are in an international prison, not just in America, but everywhere we go, our people are dying. So the things that are in operation on this planet is that white people want to kill us. I want you to understand that. They want to kill you. And it has nothing to do with what the kind of degree you have, what kind of car you have, what kind of title you have, what fraternity you belong to, what religion you belong to. They want to kill you because that is part of their plan. There are any number of reasons why they want to do that. I'm not going to waste my time trying to figure out why they want to kill us. But I know that's what they want to do. And they want to do it in many different ways. Psychological, economic, cultural, spiritual, social, and biological, chemical, electromagnetic. They want to kill you. But they also want to make money in the process of your death. Now, I saw a brother when I was coming in, he was smoking a cigarette. So now he's going to kill himself, but they're going to make money off of his death process. The other thing is that they want us to, if they don't kill us, like they tried to kill the brother by beating him up in New Orleans, if they don't kill us that way, or shooting like they killed the brother in Cincinnati, or like they killed Malice Green in Detroit, or like they killed Greenwich up in Pittsburgh, if they don't come out right and kill us straight, they want to get us to kill ourselves. Now, these are the only two operations on the planet. The other thing is that there's only one nigger on the planet. I never use that word. This is the first time I've used it. I don't even think that word. But there's only one nigger on the planet. And the nigger that's on the planet is the one that is destroying the water, the one that's polluting the air, the one that is exploiting people and resources. And the only nigger on the planet is the white man and the white woman. And then our people are not niggers. We are imitation niggers. Now, what we have to do is we have to devise a system or a plan for ourselves. And I said earlier that each one of you is a system. And everything that you do, every thought that you think, either you are supporting white world terror domination by your actions, what you buy, what you wear, where you go, what you eat, how you use your time. You are either supporting the white people in their process of death, or you're for African liberation. It's one or the other. And if we don't use our time wisely, then we are engaging in a form of subtle suicide. Because, as I said earlier, their system is still going on. They still have these images on TV that are going on. They're still warehousing our children in the special ed, giving them Ritalin. There are no jobs. We fill in the hospitals. So their system is not stopping. And then finally, I want to say that we need one idea. And we're not thinking about a solution to the problem. We're dealing with all these other things, but these are diversions from the solution to the problem. And we have to start to think about a solution to the problem so that these young brothers and sisters who are here now, who are 15, 16, and 17, are not here 25 years later talking about these same problems. Now, how do I know that the white people know that we are going to come up with a solution to the problem? I know it because they have retina scans, they have what they call racial profiling, DNA banks, and they're monitoring our people to try to prevent the one person from coming up with the one idea. And the one idea is how we are going to exterminate white people, because that, in my estimation, is the only conclusion I have come to. We have to exterminate white people off of the face of the planet to solve this problem. Now, I don't care whether you clap or not, but I'm saying to you that we need to solve this problem because they are going to kill us. And I will leave on that. So we have to just set up our own system and stop playing and get very serious and not be diverted from coming up with a solution to the problem. And the problem on the planet is white people.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Before I open up the phone lines to my distinguished guest, I see we have another caller just raise his hand. We're going to open up your line. If you just hold on at area code 706. Hold on. My position is I have not seen any indications that what the man has just said was incorrect. That's my personal opinion. So now I'm going down to our new caller so he can come in and tell us what he think about what was just said. Area code 706, can you come on in? You're on the air.
Peace and divine light, family. How you doing,
Say
Brother
again,
Tarhaka?
you are who now?
It's
Say
Brother
again.
Vance Kelly L. Day.
All right. Okay, well, Vance, let us have it, man.
Yes, brother. You know, of course, Irritated Genie has pointed out a lot of very necessary things that need to be addressed, and I was just sitting back enjoying the show. You know, not forming no personal opinions because I'm all about people trying to get something together and get some forward progress going. And this last clip, I really kind of wanted to wait to hear the people's response, but I for one, that's a hell of a conversation.
Okay.
It's like you got to think about it. How can the original people of this planet feel and be that way towards a whole class of people? It's the groupthink concept is extremely dangerous and volatile because long before any European ever came on this planet, the original people were warring amongst themselves. I mean, we could go to the story of Yaqub. We could go even further. We could deal with Shabazz. We could deal with a lot of other issues that was going on before the European came. And as a consequence of the warring and the infighting, the European was grafted and created for a purpose, which I addressed this morning on the post I had put, dealing with the understanding that the Moors, were the civilizers of all humanity, the entire world. That meaning everybody that has the same skin tone as the Moors were not in the same classes. I know what a lot of other Moors teach, but in the era we could deal with a lot of history proves that not to be correct. Dealing with the Amalekites, they were also people that looked like the Moors, but they imitated the Moabites and perpetrated war upon the Israelites and conquered a lot of other nations with the help of other people, but identifying themselves as Moabites, which they were not of that particular tribe. They did that to actually, shine a bad light on them. Now, not saying that.
Let me ask you this, Vance. Let me ask you this. Based on let's say just for the past 5 years, based on what you see, with people classified as white and people who are classified as non-white, what do you see as the solution to the problem before I bring Irritated Genie back in to address your concerns? What do you personally see as the solution to the problem just for the past 5 years based on what you've seen? We're going to put our ancient story over to the side. We're going to take history and put it to the side. Just me and you. Man to man. Let us have it.
Okay. The first solution, which will really solve a lot of the issues, which is dealing with etymology, which I know you pointed out a lot of things dealing with words, and that is so valuable and important to actually articulate the words correctly. Because if we know how powerful our words are, we actually would be speaking our own death to us. We got to get out of the group think concept and become more of the village concept once again, because it takes a village to raise a child, and this is where a lot of the things that have been constructed in society has drawn out the negative lower self, if you will, of the original people on this planet. It was all this has been orchestrated to make them look, like they the problem. But in essence, when you go deeper, and of course I don't want to make this show all about me trying to, there's no legitimization in the brutality and anything that has happened, but there's always reasons why it happened, and there's reasons for it. But a lot of that to go into, dealing with Prophet Noble Drew Ali. But the best solution is first starting with the words we use, knowing that we speak in our own death to us. Because everything we speak comes back, full, period. And then, of course, you can't really, you got to change your perspective. You got to learn to think differently and start with the principles of love first. This is a universal law and a universal love. They go hand in hand. And when you're out of balance and you're not loving yourself and your people as you should, then, of course, different things are going to come at you left and right. And this is, we're dealing with a three-dimensional reality where we just look at a person's skin tone and all of a sudden make a calculation or a determining fact. They know that brother right there, he's with me because his skin tone looks just like me. He is who I'm going to look for. Boom, kill off all the whites. We're still going to have the same issues going on because it exists in every neighborhood you grow with. So you got to start with love first, period. And if people ain't going to adhere to the principles of love, truth, peace, and freedom, then, of course, justice must come as a consequence. But, so, of course, you want to live righteously and work on getting everybody, whoever, you want to do business with or form a community with like minds will attract one another and move forward and start businesses, start things and looking at community, start community patrols, start doing things to protect. Stop worrying, when the incidents happen, be prepared. Have your legal lawful team, have your little, military clique. Have people that's going to do what's right regardless. Don't get people that's don't get fake people upon your team just because they look like you. Everybody look like you ain't like you.
All right. Well, hold me right there. Come on in, Genie.
Yeah.
Genie?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Come on in.
Okay. All right. The man made it very simple and plain, and the reality of it is that, in general, as a race of men, we're cowards. We're scared. I mean, it's not complex what the problem is on this planet. We have enemies all around us, all throughout this globe. They're systematically trying to wipe us out. We have to decide what we're going to do. He gave a tangible solution that will resolve the problem. We're scared to enact it. That's just the bottom line. So what has to happen is the men that aren't scared to enact it, because what we'll do, and I want to use straight language. It's fear, because there's no intelligent argument against what he said. You can't intelligently deconstruct what he's saying because it's just true. And he gave a tangible solution. So what we do, because we're scared to enact it, is we're so scared to enact it, we're even scared to acknowledge that what he said is true. So we only, beyond even actually doing it, we're afraid to say, yeah, that will resolve the problem. We're so scared that we make up stuff so that if the imaginary Euro that would be listening and care to think, we do it, hears it, they won't be upset with us, even though there's no imaginary Euro that's really listening. We're scared out of our minds at actually developing real manhood that will necessitate the necessary steps to remove the threats to African survival on planet Earth. Now, the practical reality of how that gets done would be a serious discussion, and this wouldn't be the place or time to do it. But in terms of the argument that he made, it is anti-intellectual and is dishonest to not concede to the fact that if we're trying to preserve black life, that removing the clear present danger and obstacles to our life that we can identify and dealing with them tangibly in very definitive manners to say that wouldn't help. It can only be done out of fear. It's not anybody that actually is sitting there thinking about what he's saying, calculating it, looking at it from a practical reality of what our people are facing, what the Native Americans have faced, and what we face. And so one of the things, and this is why I asked the question earlier on religion, I think it's important for us to at least mention. When we see God as black, then our responsibility to not be afraid comes in, because we can't say that we fear and that we believe in an all-powerful God and that God is the only thing we fear, and then acknowledge that we're the first people, which means we're the only people that God could have made. If you want to believe in God, then the only people he could have made was us, because everybody else DNA strands on some level the mutation of the African. So the African is the original person on this planet, period, black man and black woman. So if that's the case and you believe in a God, and you say that your God is all-powerful and you should not be afraid of anything but your God, then you have no justification for being afraid of these mere mortals. But the problem is, we say that we believe God is black, but it's not true. We believe that these whites are God, and who would say that you're going to do harm to God or you're going to threaten God's presence? So that's why I say it's so important, because if we cannot see ourselves as a perfect reflection of the Creator, not perfect in terms of all our behavior, but perfect in terms of our blackness and our core and our original construction from the Creator. If we can't see that, then we can't see the possibility of a victory, which is why I went back to what the Haitians said. They said the God of the whites commands them to evil, meaning it's in their nature. It's just who they are. But then he goes and says, our God commands us to goodwill, and you cannot call yourself a man if your people are being slaughtered, and out of your fear, you choose not to resist because of your fear. You're not a godly person. So the Haitians said, we believe in God, and what they're doing is evil, and so we're going to fight them. Now, in the context of that didn't mean that every black person was good, and it's not really relevant whether any whites helped us or not, because at the end of the day, they were still white, but it was very clear to the Haitians, this is a black against white war, and they fought it, and they won. And at some point in our development, and we better do this soon if we're going to survive the 21st century, we have to become realistic in the fact that white, Arabs, and Asiatics are trying to exterminate our race. And then when we have that serious discussion without the fear and the dogma to lead us into trapdoors of escapism, when we deal with it tangibly, it requires us as men to say, wow, this is serious. Let's sit down with the men, decide what we're going to do, and then find a way to translate that to the children and women so that they don't get panicked out of their mind and go running scared, and prepare our people to survive the 21st century. I think it's simple. It makes sense. It's not even something that we should be debating whether he's accurate, because all of us are intelligent enough to know that what he said is accurate. The question is, how do we take that now, make it tangible and practicable so that we can move forward and prepare our race for racial survival?
Okay, before anybody say anything else, Genie, this is a 3-hour broadcast. You did say that you wanted to do 2. If you want to go the distance, let me know, and we can go that. What'd you say?
What I'll do is I'll stay on until I have to drop off, and I'll let you know when I can drop off. I can probably stay on another 30 minutes maybe.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to open up. Vance, hold on a minute. Don't you go nowhere and don't hang up, because you're still in the ring. And I'm going to open up the rest of the brothers, and y'all come on in. Tony, you and Pastor, y'all come on in. Y'all still with me?
I was first last time, Tony. You got it, Godfather. Godfather, you on it first.
come on, Godfather. Let us have it, man.
I got to repeat it. I have to go to the word. Do you know that if you read the Bible, it does that. You know that the Bible refers to you as God. The Bible refers to you as God. Psalms 82. It's a 6-verse chapter, but you get to the end of it. He says, now the 6th one, he says, but ye shall, he says, nope, wait a minute. Ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High. But ye shall die like men and fall like one of the princes. When you understand your position, just like Genie said, I add on to that by saying that this word says, perfect love casteth out all fear. Love puts you in a superior position. If you can stand up, because none of us is getting out of this life alive. The man that I believe in, that Jesus and the people that he followed, none of them died a natural death. And the one that did live to the end of his life died in prison, writing Revelation. The point is, if you're going to stand up and be a man, that sometimes you're not going to live your full life. But what you leave behind will fuel the fire and the hearts of coming generations. Also believing in the fact that I believe in that being who has control over life and death. So if I'm in his good favors, I'm practically immortal. Practically. As long as I follow the rules and the game plan. That's how I believe. We have to lead our purpose. We are all track runners, and we all have that golden baton. And we all must pass it on, because we know we will fall on the track one day or another. Do you leave behind? We don't stand a chance. There have been Black Wall Street in North Carolina. Black folks minding their own business and getting rich, and the white folks could not stand it, and they found planes and dropped dynamite on them. They shot them in the street. They raped the women and cut their throats. They killed It doesn't matter what you do in this world, because this world, if I believe in the Bible, is run by evil. It proves it every day. People who believe in things that so archaic as no sex before marriage, believing not in lying, believing being honorable, respect anybody, turn the other cheek, those sort of things. People don't believe that. People don't believe that. They believe in walking around with a 9 in their pocket, because if you disrespect me, I got to bust a cap in you. That's what we believe. True manhood believes in following a rule plan that you respect every man in front of you, no matter who he is. That's not easy. It's easy to say, but it's not easy. I've been accosted by racists. I've been threatened by Klansmen. I've had crosses burned as a child, because I lived in a neighborhood in South Carolina that they thought I wasn't supposed to be in. So I know what the game is. I know what I'm facing. I got faith to know that I'll make it through by the belief system that I have. If I don't, then I'm a fool. But I don't believe I am.
All right. Well, I certainly appreciate you dropping that, and thank you so much, Tony. Pastor?
Hey, man.
Where you at, man?
Thank you. I am so glad. Okay. First off, honor to the brother calling in from Georgia from the 76 area code, and I don't want to screw up your name. And if I'm wrong,
his name
please
Vance.
But I think Brother Vance.
His name is Vance. Yeah, Brother Vance.
Brother Vance, thank you so much for coming on the show, man, and keeping it real. You made me a better pastor by what you said today, and I have to look in the mirror myself, piggybacking off of what my godfather said, and also piggybacking off of what Irritated Genie said. We got to remember, we are on an airplane. We 20,000 miles above the earth. We are doing something that's never been done before. We're burying our souls. We are changing the world by actually waking up every day. How can we make our family lives better? When you ride an airplane, I don't care if you broke and you in coach or first class, they give everybody the same speech. And it consists of, when this mask comes down, whether you got women, children, elderly people or not, you put the mask over your face first, then you put the mask over to help somebody else and go help out everybody else. So I'm saying all this thing right now. We've been on this plane for 400 years. It's about to crash and burn, and it's going down really fast. Now, some people are making a mistake, and they're letting their environment put the mask on their kids first, because at the end of the day, as getting back to what Brother Vance said, what Brother Tony said, what Irritated Genie said, same thing Brother Bay said, it takes a village to raise a child, but we're not really breaking that phrase down. Let's break it down. When we say a village, that's the people being upstanding in the community, doing what they're supposed to be. That don't mean somebody like I heard somebody say that they went to Ghana, Africa, West Africa. Over there, when you go over there, they say inside. Everything is open. They don't have no laws. When I say they don't have laws, they got police, but ain't nobody robbing nobody. So when you go to the house, you say inside, and the people trust you enough to say in. When they say in, then you can come in. They don't knock on the door. So I say all that to say we've lost our village because the social media. When Christmas come around, we don't go meet with people. Thanksgiving is the biggest holiday. You tell me why there's no Thanksgiving music. This is the only time where the brother from the Alcoholics Anonymous can be right beside the pastor. They can be right beside the junkie. They can be right beside the biggest white supremacy. And it just so happens that everybody white left them on the same day, and they all together, and they all sitting down and eating. Now, in the Bible days, they would have to walk on their own feet. There was no cars, wasn't no Uber. They had to walk. And it was an event when you went to go see Mighty Men of God. So when we having a conversation like this, it would have to be planned 7, 8, 9 months down the road, and they would have to take provisions for the whole trip there and back. Now, if it was a very wealthy situation and they had men service, cows, and cattle, they can actually bring the people resources to come back. So all you had to do was cover your halfway trip, and they had to send a messenger for that. So what I'm saying is, throughout all this digital technology, and we live in a microwave age, it's not Janet Jackson, what have you done for me lately, it's what you're doing tomorrow. You are right. It's going to take a village to raise a child, but the village has to be of grown men and not kids that think they men and that's not willing to lay down their life for their brothers. One thing that I honor so much in the Bible is the give and receive policy. You can't get respect until you give it. If you know anything about the actual money and the currency, and it's not about how much money you put in your account, because the bank can wake up tomorrow and say, hey, you didn't pay us 20 cents on taxes, we're going to freeze your accounts. It's about the cash flow, the relationships. The only money is spent off the bond that was built in. But with the winning team, we do have the answer to the question, how are we going to get this done? We need resources. How are we going to get the resources? We're going to go on the radio. We're going to get on social media. We're going to find the people that have the resources, and we're going to connect them to the people that fit. It's very simple. All we have to do is communicate. If we get on these shows and talk about it, if we have 40 hours worth of work and 30-minute meetings, more stuff will get done. But we like to have 100 hours worth of meetings, 20 seconds of work, and then we want to complain for 20 years why it's not right. And as long as you have that equation, it will never be success. So I'm just loving what's going on here. I'm taking great notes. The winning team, if you haven't already, visit our website, ewwnradio.com. We've been doing it for 19 years, and we've been a part of a lot of projects, but the only thing that works is us being up under brothers like Brother Bay, like Brother Tony, Irritated Genie, Brother Vance. Everybody is taking time out of their busy schedules to trap this moment in time so Brother Bay can put it on YouTube to put it out there to billions. Now, when you get the link, share the link. Don't just hold it to yourself because you're doing the wisdom of this justice. If we don't share this wisdom, the seed won't grow. One plant, one water, God's going to bring an increase, and no matter what goes on, some of this stuff should make you feel uncomfortable because it's the real word of God. It's supposed to cut you like a two-edged sword. If you sit here and you ain't felt uncomfortable this whole time, you're not living life right. Something should have been said from somebody on this panel because everything that was said was 100% true from their perspective, and once you understand their perspective, then you can change your own. So that's it for me, Brother Bay. Thank you for the floor time.
Okay, well, I certainly thank you, and I think everybody else is just sitting still rooting, and they know me. You know, all of them know me. You know, they know I got the high-powered rifles. I shoot in a minute, but after tonight, I'm gonna put that rifle down and just pick up the slingshot. Would that be all right with y'all? I just did with the slingshot. Vance.
Nah, man, you need guns, Vance. Man. When man, bro, you need guns. And at the end of the day,
not tonight, man.
People kill people. No, you need guns, man. Hey, I'm saved. I'm not.
I can't get the slingshot. I got to stick with a gun.
Nah, man, no. You need a gun, brother. If you get God gave us wisdom. If you were with a brother, he got an AK-47, and you got a slingshot, and you die, bro, I can't preach at your funeral because at the end of the day, I trained you to have a gun, bro. You need a gun. You don't know what you're getting out there with. That's why you got 3 months in boot camp in the military. You feel me?
Well, the reason I said that the reason I said that is because I ain't got no enemies over here tonight. I got y'all. So if I get the slingshot out, I'm going to roll up a wad of toilet paper and then get all y'all the slingshot, and then we could go to work.
I love this.
We have some fun, man. Vance, this is what I got for you. Y'all hold on now. I got a question for Vance and Genie. I'm going to need you to come in behind Vance. Now, Vance, in my opinion, and this is how I see it. The Prophet Noble Drew Ali said, I have brought you everything. Take it and save yourself. Now, what that translates to me and what that means to me is that everybody is going to hear what he said, and when it comes time to doing, every man is going to attempt to do based on what he knows. That's just a reality. I can saddle upside a woman and say, well, you know, the telephone company cut my phone off because I didn't pay them $200. Pass it on. She'll do the best she can trying to tell them exactly what I said. By the time it get time down to the end, the last woman, we got 10 or 12 people, the last woman going to say, they cut his phone off because he stole some money. You know, that's the way it is. Everybody hears. But when it comes to doing, everybody do based on what they know, how they been born, how they been raised. That's how it goes. That don't mean that we're trying to violate anything. We're doing the best we can based on what we know. When I was brought into the Moorish American government, I didn't know nothing about that. All I knew, our family name was Moor. I'm a Moor. We're also ancient African Egyptians. That's all I knew. There was never a time when we wasn't on this land. I asked my mama about slavery. She said, I don't know nothing about that. We was always here. And when I went to see our land, it was far as the eyes could see. Then I went to see on the other side of the family, and the land was far as the eyes could see. I was born that way. But they say, well, look, we see your works. We want you to be a part of this here. I said, well, okay. So I come in, but what am I going to do? I'm going to keep doing the same thing that I was always doing because that's all I know. Now, we got a new caller with his hand raised at area code 972. So y'all hold on a minute. We're going to bring him in. 972. The entire planet is listening to you. Come on in.
Good evening, brothers. How y'all doing today?
Hey, man.
This is Brother Anthony.
Just fine.
This is Brother Anthony Bulldog Adams. How y'all feeling? How you doing, Tarhaka? Brother Van.
I'm fine,
how y'all
man.
feeling this evening?
Just fine.
All right.
What's on your mind?
Yeah, I was chiming in on a conversation today. I'm enjoying it. But I wanted to touch on the pastor was coming from the Bible, and I wanted to ask him a question about Isaiah 45:7. What did he think of that verse?
Well, give him a time. Give him a chance to find it. Isaiah 45:7, Pastor.
Well, before I speak it, I want you to read it to me out of the actual text that you're reading it from, because there's so many different variations of the Bible, and I don't want to give you wrong information. I'm gonna go exactly from what you're reading.
Okay, I'm coming from out of the King James version, and it states, "I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things."
Thank you so much. 7. Okay, thank you so much. Now, I want to make sure that we're on the same page. Everything I'm speaking, even though that it's been said on the show that I'm a Christian, as my faith, I practice non-denominational. The three messages I preach is faith, love, and hope. And just like brother Irritated Genie said, I don't get into who you sleep with, the gay stuff. I don't get into drinking and smoking.
Wait a minute,
I'm sorry. Irritated. My bad. I apologize. I apologize. I slipped up there. I apologize. I apologize. Brother Genie for the rest of the show. Brother Genie for the rest of the show. You can't go wrong with Brother Genie. Brother Mance. I had the same situation with Brother Bay for like 3 hours when I first met Brother Bay. I couldn't pronounce his first name to save my life. Still can't. So I make mistakes. Keeping it 100, I'm transparent. Here we go.
Okay.
In that scripture, what it showed is the power of God being omnipresent. Now, earlier I said some people are made to live and die. Now, we got some people right now. They go to jail on Monday. They get out on Friday. The same chick that picked them up for jail, that they got a domestic violence case that says no contact, they get in the car with them. Saturday night, they kill that chick. Then they doing right. Those people are the kind of people that's made to die. No matter what goes on and what we say and how we do it, God's going to show his power. God made people to die to show how powerful he was. When God brought Lazarus back from the dead, Lazarus didn't know he was going to come back from the dead. Jesus was the only one. He was like, what you weeping for? God got the power to do this. Now, when Isaiah was watching the earth and moving around, and Isaiah is one of the mega prophets, the thing about Isaiah that made him so powerful was he put down the faith without the faith. He said it was going to happen, but it was no faith behind his words. Faith didn't get instituted until Abraham instituted. Isaiah was down the lineage, but he didn't move. He didn't move with Abraham and Isaiah. They didn't run together, so everything was watered down by the time he got it. So when he said it off of just the 100% of like, I know this is going to happen. But when Abraham said it had more spiritual situation. So in that verse where you broke down with that text, God was a lot of times in the Bible, God used Isaiah as his voice, and when he used Isaiah as his voice, he put out really strong messages to say who I am. If you look in Isaiah, the words I am is written more than a lot. So he's like, I am. And when you say that out loud and you say, I am the man, I am going to make this happen, you speaking to the God in us. Now, we're going to take it back to the book of Genesis. In the beginning, let us make man in the image of us. And we're aliens in this world. And all that is in the first 12 chapters right around the time Abraham came along. So all this stuff is connected by the 6th degree of separation theory. But at the same time, with God being who he is, he constantly confuses us to make us right, because if we understand his mind, we will not need him. That's why we will never know his thoughts, his ways, and our ways are not his ways. So when we see somebody like a woman lift a car up and snatch her baby out, and the woman can't lift up nothing but a 40-ounce of beer, that's when we know the power of God. So he had to put it down on paper so we have a point of reference to go back to. One thing about God, he's always been about checking imbalances. When he talk about the virgins being ready in the lamp, he prepares you for stuff and then he hits you with it. Hey, you better get it right. God's going to mess you up. Hey, you better get it right. God's going to mess you up. Hey, you better get it right. God's going to mess you up. So with Isaiah being who he was and having that mission, if you look at that whole book of Isaiah and the way that he talked, it was not a conversational conversation from God. It was a situation. I'm pointing to you. This is what you're going to do. This has to be done. Not only was he laying down laws, he was laying down the actual mitigating circumstances so that when the people really got it, now in 2017, they got a point of reference, because God is always 500 years ahead of us. I'm going to send you Messiah. Man, we send here slaves. I can't believe you're going to send us Messiah. Last time I know it, I feel that whip every 10 minutes. How you going to send us Messiah? Then Moses comes.
Let me say something right 1 second. Hold on, Pastor. Come on. Let me say something 1 second. Let me just say this right quick.
Well, no, that's all I got to say. I apologize if I offended anybody. But go ahead. You got the
floor. No, you ain't offending nobody. Come on, man.
Okay, see, you know, I just think about what my mother always told me. I asked my mother, I say, Mom, you know, who is God? You know, my mother told me, she said, a woman is God. She said, well, nothing on this planet exists if it wasn't for the woman. And right now, today, I still believe that. So when I hear people say God as a man, I'm kind of like lost behind that saying, because I know right now for myself that I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for a woman.
Well, no, God, okay, put it like this. God is omnipresent. God is night and day. So at the end of the day, he's not man or woman. He is supernatural. And this is what supersedes our knowledge. We have to think of it's either yes or no. And we live off a binary
All right,
system. Everything is one and
wait
zero.
Wait a minute, Pastor. Genie, come on in, man. What you think about this?
Come on, we about to go.
I'm glad you got me in on this one, because I'm gonna say this one, I'm gonna go. But it's an excellent conversation. As it relates to the two things. One, and this is what we talking about, knowing the blackness of God. When the brother talked about a verse that said, "I'm God, I make the good and the evil." If we go back to ancient Kemet, to the same God that they were talking about earlier when we talked about Jude 125, to the only wise God, our Savior, be glory and majesty, dominion and power, both now and ever. Amen. You go back and learn who Amen was and when we started referring to God as Amen, the hidden one, the prime mover behind all things, the one that no man can see, but is seen everywhere. When our ancestors had expelled the white invaders, they called the Hyksos, during the time of King Amos, one of the things our ancestors realized is that this nice guy business that we had gotten into, trying to be totally good and totally concentrating on good, but then opening up the doors and letting these other folks in and trying to be good to them, thinking that just because we're a certain way, that they're going to act the same way, and then these same white Asiatics overthrew our nation, raped, murdered, tortured. They said we got to adjust the way we look at God. They said because God is balanced, and God and our ancestors had what they call the Nesiamsu, which is why all of the students or the leaders in ancient Kemet, you see them standing with their left foot forward, because they said we must walk with our left foot forward to trample down evil so that our hearts can go forward. In other words, we want to be good to each other and raise children and be family-oriented people and treat our neighbors like our own families. However, first we got to trample down the evil. First we got to get through the dishonesty. First we got to make sure we're dealing with right-minded people. And that left foot means trample down evil. Trample down means to destroy it. So in other words, our ancestors said, you're not really balanced if you all good, and then when evil comes to your doorstep, you don't deal with it properly. And so our ancestors said that Amen was the God. You didn't ask Amen to do nothing for you. Amen was the God that you want to tell what you would do for Amen. I will raise my family for Amen. I will raise children. I will have a prosperous nation. I'll kill my enemies for Amen. If anybody comes in this region to do it, so that in order to be seen as a son of Amen, in order to be seen as appropriate, you had to be balanced. On the one hand, you had the good of being able to be a proper leader and live appropriately. But on the other hand, you had to be able to split somebody's head and feel good about it and know that you were in conjunction with God. Amen. So when it says, I create good and evil, it doesn't mean necessarily evil in terms of us doing bad, but it's saying sometimes you got to do something that people will say, well, I didn't think that was necessary. Well, you didn't have to think it was necessary, but it was necessary. That dog was about to bite that child.
That's your Lord self.
Preach.
Yeah.
Preach.
He out of here. You know, he got to go, because the child is more important than the dog. I don't care how you feel about it. I did what God told me to do, and you might
say it again. I did what God told me to do. Say it again. That's real. That's real. Say it one more time, please. I did what God told me to do.
Yes, sir.
I got you. Can I
All right, fellas. Now, what we finna do? We got to take a break.
I think Brother
the reason why we got to take one. No, but wait a minute. He can't say nothing else because I got to go to the bathroom. And I'm going to take a quick break.
Thank you, brothers. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Don't y'all go nowhere because we're coming back. We got to finish the show. And we ain't heard from Tony. And Tony got to come back in here and speak his piece and stuff. But I'm finna go to the bathroom and make sure you understand that if you ain't got no Cadillac convertible, don't try this one, okay? I'll be right back. Okay, Mose, we back. We down to the last stanza of the show. Our special guest was the Irritated Genie, He has come to the conclusion of his words tonight, but we still have an all-star cast. We got Brother Vance is with us. We got Pastor Doc with us. We got Brother Tony with us. And we got Brother, well, he say dog, but we gonna open up the phone line so we can continue until the conclusion of the broadcast. So I'm opening up the phone lines now, and we haven't heard from Brother Tony in a minute. So he's gonna head this thing off. Come on in, Tony.
This is the say, first and foremost, I have been blessed. I want to make a comment on the scripture. I form the light, create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. Basically explains himself. He's explaining himself as being God. There's a difference between the word evil and wicked. Okay? God is absolute. He created the laws. Nothing is in a vacuum with God. If you are either for him or you are...
Hold on, Tony. Hold on, Tony. Somebody got some background noise going on, TV or something. In order for us to get everything down, we're going to need to cut that off. And so that because we're down to 33 minutes, we want to make sure that everything that is said about all of you guys is heard by everybody on the planet. So if you would mute the information that you got going in the background, certainly appreciate it. Go ahead, Tony.
Okay. The Word of God is absolute. I'm only speaking my opinion, but I have to say it is absolute. I believe if you treat your neighbor as yourself, if you do not murder, it didn't say do not kill, do not murder, malice aforethought. I believe that God is in control of everything, including Satan. Because if Satan has no change on him, he would run amok trying to kill righteous folk. He has his place. He has his place. It's like an umbrella. If you are under the umbrella, you don't get wet. God has the umbrella. Stay under the umbrella. If you do not stay under the umbrella, then evil befalls you. There's nothing that has been created in this existence, in this realm, that God is not responsible for. The only thing that Satan does is pervert perfect existence. It is a perversion. You know what a perversion is because we have everything that we have. We have man and woman. Man and woman makes family. Families make neighborhoods. Neighborhoods make cities. Cities make counties. Counties make states. States make nations. Nations make continents. Continents make worlds. The only thing you have to do to mess all that up is attack the family. The family is being attacked. There is no unity. That's the only way that the European destroyed us, by destroying family in every perverted and loose and evil and satanic way that he could.
Okay, well, let me ask you this, Tony. Let me ask you this. Okay.
Yes.
You just described the problem for us, and you described it very, very well. Now, what I would like for my brother Vance to do, if he still was us, Vance, are you here, brother?
Yes, sir. All day, every day.
Could you describe for Tony what the solution to what he just described to us would be, in your opinion?
the whole, well, we're going to deal with biblical analogies and scriptural interpretation. We have to understand and overstand, the construct of a Bible and understand the different versions. And I mean, this could go on for hours. But let me say this. In the beginning, you would see in the book of Genesis, where they have the story where they're saying, hey, we shall create such and such of our kind and then such and such of their kind. Has anyone even given thought to that concept of who is our and theirs? So we have to understand first and foremost that the Bible, as well as a lot of other scriptures, different religions as well, they're set up under a law of duality. You have two different concepts in the Bible. That's why you'll see something where Christ said, I did not give thee the spirit of fear. But then in another where in the scriptures it say, oh, you should fear thy Lord, such and such. So the thing is that you're going to see if at the beginning ye ate of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, ye should know the difference between good and evil. It said ye shall become gods with the eyes wide open and know good and evil. So when a person reads from a scripture, they're actually reading what their spirit is drawn to in the interpretation they're going to take upon it. So when we understand and really realize that before Christianity hit these North American shores, Christians, you can look it up, and it were referring to the Europeans, which Prophet Noah Drali clearly stated in his prophecies and oral sayings and whatnot, said, give Christianity and the church back because it is for the Europeans' earthly salvation. So understanding also how the whole concept is not saying that the religion was created by them. It is saying it was for them to be civilized. So when you look upon the scriptures like, slaves should obey their masters, it's talking about the Slavic people. What has happened is that history has flipped the script.
Exactly.
Basically, what is good for the goose is good for the gander. So it's like if the original people really understand the vibration of purity that they existed upon before, because see, God is spirit. So if we wanted to sit there and I pray, Irritated Genie, because he made a lot of things that I just, at points, and I know this is not a debate format, but the difference of opinion is this, is that if you want to say God is a black God, you're looking at a concept of dealing with a physical person, which is not you're not dealing, that's like worshiping man, and even Christ said, man is worthy of all honor.
All right, Vance, we'll hold on a minute. We got a new caller with his hand raised at area code 760. Wow. Let me open that up and let them in. Area code 760, you are on the air, you're live, and everybody on the planet is listening to you. Let us have it. Taking a mighty long time to say something. 760, you're on the air.
I'm sorry. I had you on mute. I muted myself. Sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
In. You got something to talk about?
Yes, sir. I just want to say, I'm not going to say much, but.
Well, who are you first?
I'm sorry, Tarhaka. My name is Malik, Tarhaka.
Oh, hey, Malik. Come on in, man.
Hey, brother. How you doing? I just want to say hello to you and all of your distinguished guests, and I love what I'm hearing, and I just want to offer, it's the best solution I can give at this present time and moment, being who we are and being in the position that we are on this earth and knowing that we want to change our position from the lower to the higher. So that means, without getting into too much detail and giving it away, but we are going to have to become the total opposite of what we are right now. Whatever that is.
Yes.
Whatever when it comes to teaching our kids, when it comes to getting our woman under control, getting ourselves under control, everything we do, everything we move, every direction is going to have to be that step into changing from what we are. If we're cowards, we're going to have to get a little bit braver. If we're ignorant, we're going to have to gain some wisdom. We're going to have to become the total opposite of what we are. And when we go up against these forces, we definitely gonna have the energy of God to protect us, because this boy got his hooks in us real deep now. It ain't just gonna take a 223 or a 308.
Amen.
Okay.
Amen.
It's gonna take a little bit more than that.
Preach, brother.
So I just want for everybody who's listening, to understand what I'm really saying is that you're going to have to change everything about how you're doing it, where you're doing it. You're going to have to move in silence. You're going to have to meet in secret. And there ain't no doubt about that.
Well, you know what? I have to agree 100%. We're going to have to overhaul everything, and that's what I've been doing lately. I've been coming out and putting stuff out, and I know the pastors in the church and stuff mad with me. I be like, well, Jesus. Well, who is that? What side of town you seen him on? Can you define him? We get it all. We got to deal with it. Man, look here. Don't be mad with me. Ain't nothing wrong with a man asking a question, because I'm turning all of the dirt over. I might throw away a few peanuts, but I'm getting down to the bottom of all of it. Now, Van, what's your brother's name? But dog, come on, man, it's your time now. And then we're going to the pastor to straighten all this mess out.
Okay, yeah.
You in there?
Back on something. Yeah, I'm here. I'm right here, Tarhaka. Yeah, I want to go back.
Come on, man.
You can hear me? Y'all can hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Van said something earlier when he said that we must understand etymology. And see, that struck something in me, because I know etymology is a big deal in what comes, the words that we use. So like, when I hear people talk about their child, their kids and everything, that kind of like, strikes a nerve with me, because people don't understand that they call their children kids for 18 years, 20 years, and they wonder why their kids go out there acting like animals, not knowing that a kid is a goat, a baby goat.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
Words does have an effect that, when you speak it. So etymology is really a big thing in this society. We need to study etymology. I yield the floor.
All right. Well, let me get in here with this here, and what I'm gonna do is because it's time for us to switch gears. So we're trying to get as much in as we can. Beans, I personally have an all-star cast. So therefore, I'm going to the next thing, because see, we had Martin Luther King. Anytime a man step up to the plate and he hit a home run, we're dealing with individualism. And we had Malcolm, one-man show. We had Elijah Muhammad, one-man show. We had Muhammad Ali, a one-man show. So let's deal with individualism and how we need to handle that. So y'all hold on a minute, then we'll come
You just simply say it. And if they don't agree with it, then you say, okay, well, then if the racism is not the problem, If the white supremacists are not the problem, what is? All problems are solved through the process of questions and answers. So most people say that they have problems. Most people on the planet say that they have problems every day. Not just some days, every day. Just about everybody on the planet will wake up in the morning and say they have some type of problem, even if the problem is just trying to make it to the bus station on time, or make a connection for a bus or a subway or an airplane or something, or getting gas in the car. That might be a problem. The gas station closed for some unexplained reason, and they couldn't get gas, and now they got to get to work. That's a problem. Almost everybody has problems. All right. So you look at the major problems that people have, and that's what the textbook for victims of racism is about. What is the major problem on the planet? Now, some people will say that, the major problem is not racism. That's way down on the list. I mean, it's all kinds of problems. Well, then the book is not for that person. That's all it is. This book is written for people who perceive racism as being the number one problem on the planet, and that you can't solve any other problem until you solve the problem of racism. That's problems between people. That is the basic premise of the entire book. Now, a lot of people say, well, that ain't so. That just simply ain't true. I mean, there's thousands of problems before you get around to talking about something like racism. That's a small thing. We got all kinds of big problems to get before that. Well, then, if a person takes that position, then a person should work on solving those problems, which they say are the major problems. I have taken the position, and I think it's based on logic, that you can't solve any major problem without solving the problem of racism. And you do it as an individual person, each and every day. Things that you do, things that you don't do, things that you say, things that you don't say. Now, that's the premise. That premise could be false. That might not be able to do anything. But I believe that it is. I believe that's the solution. When people say that we need to solve the race problem by getting together, get together and do what? Get together and say what? Get together and think what? Because everything is thought, speech, and action. Everything that people do consists of thinking, speaking, and acting. So the premise is that if each individual person thinks correctly meaning thinks about problem solving, how to go about solving a problem is right in front of them every minute of the day. Think about problem solving, and then speaking about problem solving, how to go about solving that problem that you are thinking about. Do that every minute of every day, and then actually acting on thought, speech, action on the problem that you are thinking about and talking about. You act. You do the thing that you are thinking about doing and speaking about doing, then you do it. And if each individual does that minute by minute, everywhere on the planet, every day, in every area of activity, logic says that the problem will get solved.
Okay.
But it takes individual action, thought, speech, action.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, just like that.
Yes, sir.
By individuals. You get enough individuals doing the correct thinking, the correct speaking, and the correct acting, problem solved. Boom, 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 just like that.
Just like that.
Okay, we're back. Well, based on what we just heard from there, and I'm going to weigh in first before I open up these lines and I'll get the opinion of our distinguished gentleman. That's all I ever seen. All I ever seen was, when Ali came out, the entire world was where? On the Ali show. When Walter Payton came out, we was standing up in the stands looking at the Walter Payton show. We ain't know nothing about what's his name, Mike Dicker until later on down the road. But how do we get all of this talent together to effect change? And it goes on and on and on and on. Before the murders in California, the only thing that we know about O.J. Simpson was the juice. And it went on and on and on. So, in my opinion, I think, and this is my personal opinion before I bring y'all back in, I personally think that we should perfect our individual skills in order to bring something to the table in order to effect change. I'm opening up the lines now. Pastor?
Hey, man, I am so glad that, yes, sir. Oh, my God, man, get out of my sermon. Get out of my sermon. Get out of my sermon.
That baby in there, she's waiting on getting you ready for tomorrow. Leave her alone.
Oh, man, no. I'm going to keep 100. The most precious commodity in this world is time. Time. Wherever you spend your time, however you spend your time. Okay, if you look at the movie Higher Learning, Remy was a regular white boy, then he jumped in with some skinheads, and then he became the biggest skinhead shooting black people. So however you spend your time, that's what you're going to get. Now, time creates money. And one thing that Solomon said, who was the most wisest man walked this earth, to my knowledge, he said that no matter how much he had with everything, and having nothing, time and money both coexist. If you got the time to be broke, you're going to always be broke. And then when you put the tongue with the time, I am a pastor 100%. I believe in Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, and I also believe in Jesus Christ. But no matter what goes on, bottom line is, I can love God with all my heart, and I jump in front of a train, I'm going to get ran over. Because at the end of the day, the train ain't got time to stop. The train's on a schedule, and no matter how much the brakes work, they don't have time for me to change what I want to do. So when I look at it, from what I heard on this show, we all have the time and the energy to do the right things, and we all are of great health and of great knowledge and of great wealth. Now, as we put our time into these situations, we have to make it a wise investment so we can get money out of it. Without money, we can't talk about the thoughts because our thoughts going to be jacked up. If we ain't got no money and it's Christmas, I can go rob a liquor store. If I go pull up this liquor store, I can buy Christmas presents. I might show the kids the Christmas present, but they're going to see Daddy getting carted off. What's worth your time? Because at the end of the day, when you look at it, the new slavery is child support. No matter what goes on, they put people on child support for no reason, and the way that they write the child support laws and guidelines, that's the unspoken about silent killer like stress, and stress all comes from not having. And if you have limited resources, that's what breaks you down. So no matter what goes on, it all goes into time. Now, if you're one of these kind of people that spend 8 hours working, 8 hours playing, and then 8 hours hoping to God it makes it happen, well, that's the results you get. But if you spending 20 hours putting out positive energy, hoping to God you make it, eventually you end up like 50 Cent, Eminem, and whoever else is on the top of the charts. Now, no matter what goes on, bottom line is, yes.
Well, what I'm going to need to do.
I'm going to say this, my last statement. Please just give me the space. We all are here to change the world, and Brother Bay has provided a platform that's priceless. Now, we have invested our time. The only way this time works is if we network, we talk after the show, and we put something into action. A lot of people hold that sign up. They out there picketing. You remember everybody Occupy Wall Street. They talk about it 10 years from now, nothing happened. At the end of the day, we have to make a stand. So, like all the great leaders you said, what makes me different from everybody else, I'm teaching everybody what I know. I'm teaching them how to do what I do because I don't want to lead a movement where you knock me off and then everything just dies. John is dead. There's no more winning team. everything was great. It was about to be a $1 billion organization. What happened? The shoulda, woulda, coulda. There was a team. There was a team right now, a basketball team. They kept going to the championships. Michael Jordan, he retired. They kept going to the championships. Everybody was there. Everybody was on the Orlando Magic. Everybody talked about the Orlando Magic. And they was there when Pac was alive. Everybody had a Penny Hardaway jersey, and everything fell out the bottom because they wouldn't pay Shaq his money. So all I'm saying to you is when you devote your time, you invest your energy, you put your spirit, your blood, your sweat, your tears, your family, you get divorced, you get evicted, all that to make it happen, you got to make sure the underlings are going to be there when you're not there. So if you don't train the people right, they won't do the right thing. If we can't prevent it, it won't happen. So y'all done put this time in the Brothers Bay show. Y'all need to hit his website. Y'all need to get involved with the debt collection. If you don't want to be involved to get your debt right, then donate. Just donate. Send $10. Do something, because at the end of the day, what happened tonight, the world was changed, and you can be on the side of the club looking in, or you could be in the club partying with champagne bottles popping. No matter what goes on, I'm a pastor, but I'm going to have a sip with you because I deserved it. You get what I'm saying? And that's it, man. I'm out.
Hey, man, look, distinguished panel, do y'all like this guy? Now, Vance, is you in there? Where you at, Vance? But Vance done gone. He ain't with us. He done gone.
Can I this brother Bulldog? Can I ask you something? Tom?
Yeah, go ahead.
This what I don't understand. I hear with this credit and all this. I mean, if we bankrupt, how is there such thing as credit and money? Because they got rid of the money in 1933. So how is it that, we so caught up behind this illusion that there's money and our credit has to be right? And if the government is bankrupt, how is it there such thing as credit? You understand what I'm saying? I don't understand why people are so caught up in that.
All right. You done stole the floor up under my chair, and I done landed on it, and I'm standing on it. So okay, here we go. We're gonna ride out now. We got 7 minutes. Y'all put your seatbelts on. This is what has transpired. There's two things in America. There's private and there's public. The United States filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy back in the 30s. But long before that, if you know anything about what's going on and what you've been witnessing, things always happen long before they ever announce that it's happening. Okay, right. What we have now is we do not have any money unless you can take a magnifying glass and get a dollar bill and look at it very, very closely on both sides and see the word money printed on it anywhere. It's non-existent. Okay, so what has happened is the United States got in trouble. And what they did was, in order to get out of trouble, they pledged everything they had. They pledged the land, they pledged the water, they pledged the air, they pledged underground, on top of the ground, they pledge you and everything else. Mm-hmm. Now, in order to pay their debts,
brother.
They're going to have to pay their debts, and at the same time, use what is commonly referred to in a couple of broadcasts back as technology. What we're going to have to lead you to believe is that we are a country. We are not. We are a corporation. And a corporation does not have any citizens. They have employees. So the only thing, according to the rules of the game, the only thing that a corporation can do business with is another corporation. So in order for us to do that, what we're going to do is make you one. Now, how we know that? You know that by looking at every bill that comes into your house is addressed in all capital letters, Then you go to the cemetery. You look at all the gravestones, and that's all in all capital letters because everybody in there is dead. So that means that they're addressing you as dead. Now you should have a problem with that, especially if you living. So now we got to, the plot thickens. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to do some thinking. We're going to do some research and realize that anytime you hear the word budget, you need to be alarmed. Anytime you hear the word America, you need to be alarmed. Anytime you hear the word person, you need to be alarmed. Anytime, at any point in time in history, you hear the word money, you need to start running toward Washington, D.C. and say,
Amen.
Show me.
Let's go to the word now then. When they say that we are now, now is a person, place, or a thing, right? Now you just said when you hear the word person, you have to be alarmed. So that makes me know now that I'm not a noun. Because
at the same time now, you can ask a question. And
yes, sir.
Anytime you see me asking a question, you better believe that I have the answer. Otherwise, I wouldn't have asked the question.
Oh, I know.
So you got to do the same thing, right? So if you, this is how you do this thing. Okay, well, let's get on down to brass tacks. So, okay, what we know is, okay, everything's artificial, it's a game, all this right here. So the question should be at this point is, what should we do about it, and how can I profit? Because in the back of every man and woman's mind is the following: how can I profit? What can I profit? When can I profit? Where can I profit? Why can I profit? Who says I can profit? I don't care what you do. That's in the back of every man's mind. But what you
and I'm a
discover
pastor, and
is,
I agree with that 100%. 100%.
The key
that's true.
Keep from being hung and stoned and put in prison for treason, we have to create an avenue where you can do some things. That means that if you and I we're going to go to Walmart. We're going to buy a washer and dryer that's listed as $995. What we're going to do is keep from getting a history lesson. We're going to take $995 worth of fiat, and we're going to give that to them. But before we leave, we need them to sign the receipt. They're going to sign, I'm going to sign. Now, what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to put the Internal Revenue Service on notice of the fact that I just put some fake junk in the public.
Yeah, exactly.
And what I need you to do is balance the books. Here it is. If y'all need a photograph, I could have taken a photograph. You don't need that. But here it is. And what will happen is the Internal Revenue Service, they will balance the book and put the company that you put the fiat in the public about on notice of the fact that you put $995 in the public, and they need to give you your fiat back so it can remain in the private. The only person on the planet that you should exchange fiat from is a living man and a living woman. Anytime somebody say, well, you owe the company, you owe the state of Florida, or you owe the court $500, are you asking me to give you something that doesn't belong to me, that's property of the Federal Reserve Bank? Are you asking me to give you something that don't belong to me? So that's a whole brand new ball game. You know what? Y'all mess around and cut me loose tonight. I was trying to keep a lid on this thing, but y'all cut me loose. We're down to seconds now. I'm going to have to shut this thing down. I appreciate y'all for being here.
Appreciate
and
you,
we're going to come
Tarhaka.
back at a later date, man.
It has
But
been
y'all
a
got
joy.
Y'all
this.
brothers, y'all have a good one. Peace, brothers. Peace.
All right, man. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to convert this show into a video, and I'll put this thing up later on YouTube, and then we'll come in later and I'll post it everywhere it need to go. I've been your host, Tarhaka. Money LB. Until next time.
Shouldn't be a celebration at all. It should be don't celebrate.
Right.
This is a part of the code, the compensatory counter-racist code. Do not celebrate. Educate.
Yes.
All right.
Thank
now,
you. Thank
you.
So
it's fine. It's excellent to talk about what happened, on that 4th of July. I mean, when that first 4th of July, and what that was all about, and the details of what that was all about. Educate people about what that was about.
That's right. That's
and
right.
Don't celebrate anything. Don't fire any firecrackers. And I'm saying, this one coming up, people are always saying, well, Fuller talks about what the problem is just like everybody else does, but he doesn't come up with solutions. Well, compensatory codification is about solutions.
Yes.
So you start off saying, no, I'm not buying a single firecracker. All right? That's number one. None of that. None of those explosions. That's not the way to commemorate any day. Cannon fire, rifle fire, musket fire, 9mm fire, AK-47 fire, no, no, no. Absolutely not. It doesn't make sense. That's why it's not logical.
That's right.
It's not logical, and it's not what? Constructive.
It's not constructive, absolutely.
Yes, it doesn't put constructive ideas in anybody's mind. No, say that, no, that 4th of July, we're going to do some quiet reflection and think about what all of this was about, because a lot of people don't even think about what it's about.
Hey, that's what I'm getting at. They don't think about that.
The average person just goes out and buys some barbecue in the backyard, and invite some friends over, and they have fireworks all over the place, and the ambulances have to gear up to start running because somebody's going to have fireworks incidents. Somebody's eye going to get put out by some flying glass.
That has happened.
And all that. Oh, yes. I mean, the statistics, they show it. On the 4th of July, people at the fire department have to get ready to go and put out some fires. All right, the ambulances are going to run a little more than usual. Going and taking care of people who were injured in fireworks explosions. Why invite all of that? It's not constructive.
It is not constructive.
Mr. and Mrs. It's not constructive. Wherever you are, let's look at it. Let's just all just gather around, form a circle, and look at it and ask that universal question. Is this constructive or is it non-constructive in the way it's being conducted?